everybody.
Welcome to the
post-credits
show. We changed the show. The thing,
I changed the TV.
And we changed.
Yeah, just
basically just the
TV out.
We basically just switched the TV.
I can change the channels. Look, stuff happens on the television right now. You can see it.
It has to be that robot chicken, like, and then changes channels.
Okay, so I could do that.
That's a lot of work, though.
We're slamming our hand.
That would be part of the transition effect, though.
It would be a transition effect that would be this big, and I'd have to nail that. Like, that camera would have to be in the same place every week.
Yeah, that's not...
I mean, the TV can't do that.
No, you could probably make it as a layer, and then like put it.
I'd hope, but I'd have to move it every time.
No, just make the whole thing and put it happening on. I don't know.
The whole screen would either go, or
Yeah.
I'd have to pinpoint exactly where the TV was every time.
Mm.
Oh,
That's my shtick. It's not that it would cover us. It would be I'd have to find the television every time.
Mm.
Either way, welcome to the post-credit show. We're talking about games we played, movies we've watched, and other sort of nerd junk we have done over the past
that was
week.
nerd stuff.
Basically nerd stuff.
It is nerd stuff.
Nerd stuff.
Making those ads was nerdy.
Nerd stuff. That's what it is.
I'm Nick.
I'm Tony still.
I'm Chris.
I'm Ross.
Welcome. Anyone want to start before these guys start talking about WoW?
I'll wait till the end.
No fun.
I mean, it's both of you guys. It's not us.
That's all my gaming.
It's not us.
Nick out.
That's all my gaming. I watch movies.
All right, I'll
I watched
jump.
2 movies and a
I'll
TV
jump.
show.
I'll jump in. I ended up watching Popstar.
Nah.
Man, that's a
Never say.
Never
stop.
Never stop.
stopping?
Yeah,
Never
never
stop
stop not stopping.
That's the Andy Samberg.
Samberg.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
on
one-
Netflix.
Was it okay?
Sure.
If you're expecting,
Nothing, then it's
Not
fine.
Okay.
like,
if you're-
go into it like an Adam Sandler film.
It is very much an Adam Sandler film. It is
Like,
very, so it's a story about this Backstreet Boys style band that was really, really big. They got a couple big hits, and then one of the main characters, Andy Samberg, starts a solo career when the other ones start kind of petering off.
But
And
either
so
way, like I said the last time,
Oh,
not that it is an Adam Sandler film, but you know when you go into Adam Sandler
Lately.
Yeah.
and you expect Adam Sandler, like you're like, okay, I know what I'm getting into, so I can enjoy this.
Mm-hmm.
Like people who go into Adam Sandler movies and expect Emmy award or Oscar-winning performances, you're like, you went into the wrong film.
I know.
You might get away with that in
sequence.
a couple of his dramatic films
Yes.
he did mid-career.
Yep.
But for the most part, nope.
Yeah, I know what I'm getting
out
You're
of
getting
that.
another grown-ups.
So just know what you're
Or
getting out
worse.
of, and it's Andy Samberg.
I think a sequence that really kind of threw me for a loop, because I was already kind of expecting weirdness out of this movie, was that scene when they were being crowded in the vehicle.
Expect
with all the fans like going like, yeah, sign my stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it was that sequence I was like, oh my god, that's right, this is this kind of movie.
If it helps, I watched a much worse movie last night, so...
So yeah, I watched that movie. It's funny.
Yep.
It's a...
Again, if you know
I
what you're
turned
expecting.
I turned my brain off. I built Pokemon decks when I was watching that movie.
Yeah.
So it was very much like, yes, I was doing something else. I can't be like 100% on this film.
Well, I was. But again, I was expecting Andy Samberg. As Andy Samberg.
Oh yeah.
Like, I watched...
I think...
Well, no, because we've even said Andy Samberg in real life is very...
He is very toned
Toned
down.
He was very modest. He's very modest.
Yes.
And
If he gets in front of a crowd, he becomes that guy.
he becomes Peralta.
He does.
And it's really weird watching that movie after watching so much Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's like, all right, it's the same actor. He's got a lot of range. He's got range.
From childish moron to
Adult
childish moron.
But it's so different though.
It is a very different
It's so
moron.
different.
Yeah.
It's such a different moron.
Many different morons.
Well, it is. Like, I've always said, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, he does. He plays a giant child, but he's still good at what he does. And
Yes,
he's
he's competent.
He's competent in a lot of things, just not life.
Mm-hmm.
My teeth are always constantly hurting. I'd never go to the
Never
dentist.
guess he's eating a breakfast burrito that's a fruit roll-up mixed with gummy bears or whatever it is.
Well, and then there's also like a lot of scenes where his character has like a shocking amount of maturity and seriousness, like that's totally fitting for the character, but also seems out of place with the rest of it. And it's like, no, there's some depth here.
Yeah,
it
he's got,
works.
like I said,
It's
he's
not
got
just a
range.
He
as an
does.
actor.
Popstar, he does. He does a good job of being the egotistical
Me, center me, basically.
millionaire pop star. Like
Yeah.
if it's Justin Timberlake,
Maybe that's who we based it off of.
I could
They
totally
are
see
friends.
that.
they are.
I could totally see that.
But that's my thing. Is like it's the Justin Timberlake story of Justin Timberlake
without Justin Timberlake
was not as talented and made racist songs. And I just loved watching this film too because even my wife sits there going, like, he had a lot of pull because
there's a lot of
there's
actors.
a lot of people in this film that do short little burst scenes, and I'm like, well, yeah, he did SNL
Snoop
for
Dogg.
how long?
Mm-hmm.
You meet a lot of people, and if you're talented enough, these people will come to you as
and I mean,
you
it's like
produce things.
just the Snoop Dogg sequence was like, oh my god, you've just been dogged. You've just been Snoop Dogg.
But yeah, good flick. It is on Netflix.
It's
Canada.
It's worth. Yeah, I'm not sure what you guys' restrictions are down south. Watch that. And we watched Tag last night.
Yes.
And
How was that?
How was Tag?
It was really fun.
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was.
It was super good. I can totally see why Jeremy Renner took a pass on Infinity War to go film Tag instead, because it is so.
You're assuming he had the option there.
Yeah. Either way, like
He
it's
injured himself in that movie too.
He did. He broke his arms.
totally worth it. Totally worth it. Yeah, that movie is a lot. You've seen?
Yeah.
You've seen? No. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's very much that real story of these guys, because it's more than just the four guys. I think, right? I think it's.
Yes, I think
the
in
group-
real life it's a
I
bigger
think,
group.
yeah, the group
that
evolved
does it.
into like 20 or something.
Because based on a true story.
Yeah.
It's very and they had a really good ending to it, like a really good feel good moment.
Yeah.
I the twist is very unexpected, but it still
Makes sense.
But it makes sense. It still brings these group of guys together, and that's the whole big piece. Is these guys playing this game, keeping in contact with each other for like 20 plus years.
I would like to imagine that's how Jeremy Renner would really play Tag.
That's
That hardcore.
Yep. No, I just thought it was just Hawkeye. It was just a giant ruse. It's Hawkeye playing
Avoid the
tag.
snap.
But yeah,
avoids the snap by running from it.
yeah, we saw it on Google. It's not out for rental yet on Google Play.
Mhm.
So
I found it.
that was because we were gonna rent Book Club,
Oh.
which is
Oh, no.
Jane Fonda and all that.
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of.
yeah.
Oh.
You say but Jane Fonda is a really good actress when it comes to comedy stuff, and so getting her into a PG-13 R-rated comedy like 9 to 5 was way back in the day with her and Lily Tomlin and country music star Dolly Parton. Thank you. That was a seriously weird movie that ended up being stupidly funny. So all those actresses who are, getting up there in age, dropping them into a movie where they just get to, swear and be stupid is stupidly fun to watch.
They get to open up.
They do, and that's where Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin on Grace and Frankie, that's a Netflix show, which is, again, worth watching, is Lily Tomlin's a giant stoner, and she pretty much, Jane Fonda has to put up with her. So it's like watching 9 to 5, but they're now allowed to swear and just be them. And you're like, I enjoy this. This is fun to watch. Because again, you think Jane Fonda, a lot of her stuff was very serious work, or this or that or anything else. Giving her comedy to do. But again, it's not up for rental. My wife was like, well, we're going to rent it. And then she looked and she's like, I'm not paying $24.
Yep.
Yeah, no, so we watched Tag. It's super fun. I think
Nice.
the best part about that film is all the ridiculous sequences that happen in the mall sequence.
They happen.
They happen in real life because as part of
Not
the
to the extreme of what.
not to the extreme as the movie, but there's a post-credit sequence in the movie where it actually has cam footage of these guys playing this game back and forth, and it's just like, oh man, that's fantastic that it's mostly true.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Well, that was even most of the actors, I think, when I saw them on one of the red carpets, and they're like, that was the weirdest part of this movie was we can legitimately say, based on a true story. They're like, you don't normally get comedy movies out of something like that.
Not usually.
No. It's usually based on a
Yeah,
true
no, the stunts
story.
were
and you get-
how they pulled them off were, but yeah,
It's-
Jeremy
it's- yeah,
Renner's
it's-
stuff was not.
It's a little over exaggerated,
Yeah,
but
but-
it's still grounded in reality, and I can appreciate that.
And I'm okay as long as the over-the-topness adds to the
Yes.
comedy.
Yeah, exactly. That's
It is.
exactly it.
Like I say, we watched The Boss,
yeah.
Which one's that?
Melissa McCarthy.
Oh yeah.
and there's one scene in there, the street fight, that just doesn't need to happen.
Mhm.
You could have handled it in 8,000 different ways that would have been funny. Instead, you have girl guides essentially fighting girl guides in a massive street fight with explosions and all sorts of stuff happening, and it's you've gone too far.
Correct.
Comedy is a science. And
I'm trying to think if there's any sequences in Tag where that over the top, but not really.
like I say, I'm okay with over the like. I'm a Mel Brooks fan. I get over the top.
Maybe the sequence in the church, perhaps, but
no.
But even still, like that's.
And again, if it's fun,
to the lengths that those characters would go through to do what they need to do, that's realistic in my mind.
Cool.
Yeah, totally.
Tag.
Fantastic.
I know I saw that on Google Play. And
Super
I'm like,
super fun. Go watch that movie. It's definitely up there for me for this year.
Nice.
And then played Pokemon Go. Doubleheader last week.
Eevee
Day. Yeah, it's just Eevee. There are Eevees everywhere.
I caught all the Eevees I needed to catch.
You only need really like 8 or 9.
I got 8.
For now.
For not till next gen comes out.
Next generation.
I know.
When they decide to
Do it
make
again.
more. I ended up catching 20 something odd shinies over the entire weekend because this is the first time they made a double day community day event because of
just because Eevee's so big.
Well, just the unique nature of Eevee and how it evolves. Normal community days is only 1 hour, or not 1 hour, 1 day for the 3 hours. But for Eevee, because he evolves into so many different types, they want to make sure people have enough Eevees, especially the shiny variant, to evolve into the future generations. Because coming up, we've got Leafeon and Glaceon in Generation 4.
Yeah.
And then we have Sylveon in Generation 6, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, the 3DS region, the Kalos region. And then whoever knows what we have coming down the pipeline. So, and I already got really good ones for my boy Glaceon, so I'm ready for that when that drops. People were really mad that it wasn't Glaceon and Leafeon dropping for this event. I'm like, doesn't make sense. It's Generation 4 isn't available yet. Why would they drop Leafeon and Glaceon?
It would be a good segue into it.
Yeah, but then I don't know. I wasn't expecting those two.
I don't know. Either way, I put 2 of my evolutions into gyms over the weekend or over yesterday, and they did quite well.
Yes,
quite well.
And of course, if you have the shiny one, they evolve into the shiny evolved form as well,
which is all I did. And I also I've never used the name trick, so I lucked out.
That'd be my problem, is I have. And
yeah, I'm still missing. I think
Jolteon.
Really I have like 3 shiny Flareons.
So if you name your Eevee something specific and then evolve it, it'll evolve into a specific.
Because you've played
evolution.
red and blue, right? You know you need the Waterstone, Thunderstone, and Waterstone to evolve Eevee. Okay.
I don't know, have you ever played Red?
I have never played a Pokemon game except for a little bit of Pokemon Stadium back in the day.
That doesn't count.
Noise.
It's good. It's good. Doesn't count though.
Oh no, I agree. I've just never played Pokemon. I've effectively never played Pokemon.
You should.
I'm waiting for them to put out like a console, essentially Final Fantasy game mechanic Pokemon. I want console version.
Well, then the Switch is the system for you.
Oh boy.
Nope.
Next year.
So yeah,
like you and WoW.
And I always understand that with games.
Like
there are certain games you just don't get into. We just had a discussion. I don't do JRPGs. I find them really hard to get into.
I find them really easy to get into. I find them really hard to continue.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
I will play a JRPG for like 50 hours
and
then abruptly stop.
And then you're lost.
And then you come back and you're like, what? Where?
What's my name?
Yes.
I named him. Why did I name him this?
That's why eventually I stopped naming. Like I just kept the base name.
Yep.
Like Squall was Squall, Cloud was Cloud.
I've been.
You can tell how long it's been since I played a Final Fantasy. Lightning.
Yes.
Lightning's the most recent one I've played.
Yeah.
That's still really old.
It's like, I'm with you. Lightning, still with you. Okay, those are the 3 I've actually played.
Hold on.
I have 10.
Hold on.
Haven't played it.
Noctis. Yep, there we go. Lost.
Wait, is that 15?
Yes.
I have 15. I haven't played it.
I bought 9. And I know a lot of people dissed on 9.
I heard mostly good things on 9.
It was
mixed.
mostly...
It's mixed.
Because they went from 7, which was...
realistic-y...
And again, I don't understand
7 and 8.
realistically when they say 7, because I've looked at the graphics for 7 and gone...
I think more down to realism, like...
Yes.
Steampunk.
And then come 8. yes, realistic-ish. Yeah. And then 9, they went back to classic Final Fantasy with, like, you know, the spherical-headed mage who you don't see anything of, like, other than
unproportioned bodies,
the weird body shapes, all that kind of stuff, which is what I love about Final Fantasy. So I'm like, I shall play 9. So I have it on my Steam because they had it on sale the one day, and I'm like, I'll play this on the computer. It is at the point now where I'm like, I think I had to have, like, 8 I can still play. 9, it's like I'm having a hard time.
See, 8 is my disdain. I did not enjoy 8.
I love 8 so much.
I don't.
I know people dissed on that magic system too, but I still loved it.
I just 4 got weird as far as the story goes, like the story up to the end of disc 3 was solid. I liked the magic system.
Me too.
Maybe it's because it was the first one I started with, and then I played 7 after the fact. And then I liked the materia system too. I was like, this is a different thing. And
I didn't like the idea of slotting in magic into your stats, basically. That felt weird. That felt weird.
For me, I had very mixed feelings on that because, on the one hand, again, it's the system I started with, so it's just like, this is just the way it is. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
So it's like, cool, and I spent so much time trying to, like, min-max my stats with the right spells, and I got enjoyment out of that. But on the flip side of things, I legitimately used, like, 2 spells in the whole game because the rest of them I just needed to keep for my stats.
Yep.
But then, like, you would get down to the sequence where it's like, oh, I got Ultima. But do I use it as a stat, or do I want to use it?
Nope, use it as a stat. Because all you need to do is get your Cactar, get your Eden, get Diablo.
I'll be honest, I totally forgot most of that game. I totally forgot most of that game.
Spam Cactar, Eden, and Diablo. You don't need to cast magic unless you're casting Aura, and that's why I never had Aura on a stat.
I'll be honest, I totally forgot most of 8 anyway.
The trick is, when you're fighting something real hard in Final Fantasy VIII, you make sure Selphie's in your party, you make sure she's leveled up real high, you get Aura on her, holy war across the party, and you just spam for the limit break, hoping for the end.
Yep. Yep.
Auto kill any boss.
Yep.
Definitely don't remember that game enough.
That's how I beat Tonberry King. That's how I beat Ultima Weapon. That's how I beat Omega Weapon. That's how I attempted to beat Ultimecia, and then I was like, oh, it randomly picks 3 people in your whole party, and 2 of my people have nothing equipped on them.
Yep.
Fun.
Yeah. No, I liked 8. That system worked, and I mean, my first Final Fantasy game was
visually. I loved how it looked.
Well, that was the first time they really interacted with the cinematic and your player character shtick too, where it was like, run from this thing, and you're like, it's actually me running on this like hyper realistic something or other. Yeah. This is insane.
Graphics were different back then.
Graphics were a very different
They looked so good back then, and you go back now and you're like, wow,
what is this dumpster fire?
How did I look? I can see I can count the polygons on this face.
Especially like 7 was
bad.
That's what I mean. Like I never played 7. Like it was one of those I didn't own a PlayStation. I never got
Strike Knights of the Round.
It never came. Done. It never came out on the PC when I had a PC. 8 came out when I had a PC and it was on the PC, so that's why I played 8.
Yeah.
So 7 never came out, so everybody's like 7, and I'm like, no, 8 is clearly superior because I've played it.
I personally prefer 8 over 7.
And having played them now,
beat them both.
Yes. But going back to 7 now, it's like I don't get why people are like, this game is so like realistic. Cloud is barely a blob at this point.
Even in the battle sequences,
his shoulders are the size of his head.
Yeah,
like each shoulder.
Yeah. Like at least Final Fantasy VIII, yes, he's boxy, but he's humanly proportioned. Yeah, and yeah, Squall was stupidly skinny, but
y'all are crazy. It's Final Fantasy 3 that's the best.
3/6.
Yes.
Yep.
Well,
anyway, we were talking about things you've done.
Yes.
And then we broke in JRPG.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
Because he went for Pokemon Go, because he's never
Go.
going to play it. I said, you should play Warcraft just
and
like
she
I
doesn't
don't
play JRPGs, and then I said I've played JRPGs, but now the cycle's begun again.
Correct.
Yes.
So I played a lot of that Pokemon Go, and of course Regirock is out, so I did a couple of raids here in this week. But the big game that I've played is Dead Cells.
Yes, you got it for your Switch.
I wasn't sure which console I wanted to pick it up for, and I'm really glad I picked it up on the Switch, just because The performance issues are not as bad as people say.
Things are always exaggerated.
Yes.
Especially when it comes down to frame rates, I find nowadays.
Yeah.
People
So
are like, game runs like
full
poop.
disclosure, I do see some of what the people are talking about, but it's nowhere near as
Game
game-breaking.
breaking.
And with the nature of what Dead Cells is, it's a roguelike runner. For roguelike, if you guys aren't familiar with what those are, it's you play a single character, you start with the basic stats and weapons all the time, and then you have to get as far into the level as you can until you die, in which case it resets. But the case with Dead Cells is that you are picking up these empty cells, which you use to upgrade permanently stats on your character. So, or permanently unlock weapons. So, it is a run-based Metroidvania style game. There are things that you unlock, ruins that you unlock that give you additional abilities that will carry on in future run-throughs. So right now I have an ability that allows me to grow vines to the ceiling, which allows me to find different areas to find different ruins. And so the big piece is that you try to get as far as you can through, I think there's only like 4 bosses in the game, but by the time you get to the first boss, he will destroy you unless you know how you're playing the game, unless you find a good weapon combination, because there are multitudes of weapons in this game. There's swords, daggers, guns. There's throwing daggers, there's bow and arrows. It's not guns.
Bow and arrow.
Bow and arrows, whips. They've actually made shields an actually effective weapon, where you can actually block projectiles and then reflect them back to enemies.
You're Captain America.
A little bit with a wooden shield, I guess.
How does a wooden shield reflect an arrow?
Yes.
It's magic.
Yes.
Curvature.
And so,
Sure.
and because you're,
Or does it like reflect it straight
I'm
back?
assuming straight back.
I would imagine that the arrow just goes straight into the shield in real life.
Correct.
Either way. So,
well, again, depending on if it's...
and you get different shields and different stats and everything throughout the game. So because you restart every time and your stats start at 0, there's actually 3 different, I guess, stats that you can upgrade throughout the run that you find flasks to upgrade. So you've got your brutality, which upgrades your red weapons, so that's like your maces, your swords. You can upgrade your purple weapons, which is your tactics. That's your bow and arrows, that's your traps, that kind of stuff. And you have your stamina upgrades, so that upgrades your health a little bit more, but also improves your shields, and it improves things that are not so combat heavy. And it's up to you to decide which stats you want to upgrade. You can have a well-balanced character. Every time you find these upgrades, you can have,
all red.
Exactly. Yeah. I have found that is the best way to really run through it, because there are amazing brutality weapons in this game, and visually this is an amazing looking game. It is an not 8-bit, it's like a sort of a pixely art kind of
pixel art kind of thing. Yeah.
It's a pixel art style. I have found that with the grenades, there's ice grenades and fire grenades. My current playstyle is I throw the grenades at the same time. One will slow the enemy down, but the other grenade will set fire to the ground
and damage over time.
And damage enemies over time. So that's currently my playstyle. It works really, really well on the first boss because it just slows him down and
he burns.
He burns. And so the other big portion of this is the speed of it all. And that's where everyone's like, oh, the Switch is a little bit... The frame rate's a little bit chuggy when you get to this portion of the game. There's a lot of enemies on screen. I don't have an issue with that, but because as soon as I die, I just go right back in. I just go right back in. I've had a really long run. I think like 30 minutes is my longest run so far. So I'll see where the game takes me, because I've been playing that game a whole lot. Between levels, there's different levels that you can kind of go to. You've got your starting level where you can kind of grind out some cells.
Yeah.
You can grind out weapons and gold and stuff like that. Because between each level, there is a sort of a shop area where you can use your cells to upgrade, whether or not you have a bigger bag size for gold, or whether it randomizes your starting weapons to better equipment, that kind of thing. You can also equip different mutations in this sort of area. You can equip 3 of them at a time. You can upgrade the grenade cooldown, because everything's on cooldown. Well, other than basic attacks, everything's on cooldowns. You can upgrade your health size. You can upgrade how much ammo you have in your bow and arrows, if that's the weapon you choose to pick up for that run. There's also a health flask system, very much like the Dark Souls thing, where you would go to your bonfire, and then that's where you would fill up your health flask to basically give yourself another chance in the game. You start off with one drink from this flask to heal yourself, but you can upgrade it up to 3.
Oh, so you get a few shots.
Yeah, you get a few shots, and you can refill it every time you hit this little middle section between levels. The one thing that I find a little bit annoying with the game, I'll just grow on me. I think there is time-locked doors, where you need to get to that door within the time limit, or else it'll lock. So there's usually like a lot of treasures, a lot of bonus
I was just gonna say,
cells.
but it's a treasure room.
It's usually a treasure room. So it'll tell you like, oh, this door closed like 5 seconds ago. Well, that's a shame. Keep going. So it is time based. When you're in the shops, when you're in the upgrade rooms, timer stops until you move out of it. So you can take your time to be like, do I want this weapon instead of this weapon? That kind of stuff. So the timer does stop there, but as soon as you get out and you're fighting enemies and things like that. I'm cold.
I know.
Yeah, it's a timer-based game. So there's doors that lock at 2 minutes, the ones that lock at 7 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah, but that's really for
speedrunners, basically, who want to really blow through the game. And you can totally do that. Like, there is no wrong way to play this game.
Yep.
That you can
dying all the time.
And that's a big piece, is that you are always dying, but you're always progressing a little bit more every time. A little bit more every time. So if you die in the middle of a level, you lose all your stats, or all your cells that you've collected, all your gold that you've collected, unless you have certain upgrades that allow you to hold more
X
gold.
amount on death.
Yeah, X amount on death. Cells you can't hold, I've found, but gold you can, and certain weapons you can, I think. I really, really dig this game. It's super good. You guys should all play this game.
Yeah.
It's super freaking fun.
That'll be one of those ones when it's on sale on the Switch.
Oh, it is so much fun. I can't stop like thinking about this game. It is so much. And the humor in it, there's just enough humor in it to make you want to keep going back. It's like, oh, because every time you die, technically your body kind of, disintegrates.
Yeah.
When you're passing through the little middle area levels, you find a pile of bodies and you can investigate. The guy goes, "Oh, that looks kind of like me." Oh, that is me.
That is me.
That is me. And it's just like a pile of like these corpses. Yeah, no, I super dig the game. And the thing is, the game was in early access for like a year and a half or 2 or something like that. So you can see this is a success story, I think, for Kickstarter and Kickstarter games, because apparently it started really, really rough, and it is now this ginormous game that it's fun.
A lot of games with early access, I find, as long as they take community input,
Oh yes,
parse through, and actually go, okay, this would fit in our game, this would fit in our game. That's where stuff works. Something like Realm Royale, where they're just like, if someone shouts it, they're like, okay, and they put it into their game,
and then it breaks the game.
and then the game, you're like, oh, like this does not work. So you shout that it doesn't work, like, and they keep adding stuff. Like, one person was complaining about Warcraft, how, well, they should be using all the ideas that the fans give them.
No.
And
Do
someone
you
should
really be listening to all of this.
It's like they should listen to, if we have concerns about something, listen to them. But it's their game.
Yeah.
Like, they are in control of it.
They need to make a judgment call as to what actually gets implemented, because just because you want it does not mean it's going to work for the game and the gameplay.
Well, and a lot of people right now are mad at Friday the 13th. Because some of the stuff that they promised they'd try and get into the game hasn't made it into the game. And like, the defense on the subreddit is essentially, you have a game. It works like it is intended to work. No, you did not get Jason X. No, you did not get this. No, you did not get that. But you have a game that functions and does what they said it would do. They promised us more. And it's like, and that's how Kickstarter works. You don't always get what they promise. And
However,
it says that on Kickstarter.
They're very transparent.
It's like, just because you give money and just because it succeeds in that goal does not mean something will actually come of this.
There's been so many times the other way around where you support something on Kickstarter and literally nothing comes out of it.
Right. Like, so that's the Friday the 13th thing, is like, you have enough maps, you have counselors, like, you have a game. And they're like, they said we'd get this. And they said we'd... And you're like, sure.
They also said that you'd get a game. Did you get a game?
Right. You're lucky you got a game.
That's the risk that you run on Kickstarter.
And that's exactly it. Like I like early access a little bit more in that sense, where
there actually is a game at some point.
There has to be at least the fundamentals of the game, and then it improves subsequently from there. But because, like, you know, if we jumped into the forest, like Ryan and I did.
That's in 1.0 now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's out.
Yeah,
but like we jumped in early access, but we watched it for a while. And you're like, okay, this is enough of a game now where we'll jump in. And I mean, honestly, all Brian and I do is build forts and fight off cannibals. Like, we don't play the story. Like, my son has been missing for probably months in that game at this point.
Dead.
No, he was kidnapped by I think he becomes like the cannibal king or something like that. Like there's a shtick to the whole like your son's been kidnapped, but with Brian and I, it's legitimately like, what should we put on our mansion now? So, but yeah, so early access, I always you have to be weary of certain games.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think Dead Cells was a no, maybe it was early access. I can't remember. But yeah, this game came out of nowhere for me because I didn't.
I knew nothing about it.
I knew nothing about it until people.
Well, and that whole IGN debacle.
Yeah.
Helped.
I'll be honest. That really did. That helped a lot.
Because that was the weirdly enough they got caught.
Weirdly enough, that helped a lot. But I'm glad because holy crap, this game is amazing.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. I think
it's good to hear though.
So. Yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Cool.
I think because Spider-Man's out soon.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
3 weeks.
I think
September 7th. I believe is when my PlayStation.
Dead Cells will keep me busy until then.
Yeah.
And between that and Pokemon.
I had to finish God of War then.
You need to finish God of War.
But Warcraft.
But then I got other stuff.
Warcraft and then God of War.
I could do it.
God of Warcraft, combine the two of them.
I'd play that.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I would.
It has Warcraft in the name. You wouldn't.
No,
it's the MMO-based stuff that is not
you assume that it's
because
it's got Warcraft. I will play Warcraft. It's the
other grinding MMO stuff.
No, I was burned out on Final Fantasy 14. No.
Go kill 12 pigeons. Collect their bones.
I'm fine.
Return
back
to
Final Fantasy never did that. Final Fantasy 14 never had
fetch quests.
Yeah, like they had early fetch quests, but like nothing. Like the middle
There's
stuff.
Still fetch quests.
Yeah. To be fair, WoW is always, and they've gotten much better at it with the phasing and all of that jazz. Like, you know, the levels, the world changes as you do things. But their fetch quests, like, they still have them.
I was reading an article.
There's still lots.
I was reading an article. I'm not sure how you guys reflect the sentiment or not about World of Warcraft and how it's evolved into a game that's not so much a World of Warcraft anymore, but it's just a game about Warcraft.
Because it's the continents.
And, well, not just splitting the continents, but the fact that it's all just single-player stuff. You don't feel as heroic as you once did.
You can play multiplayer.
So here's my shtick with the heroic piece. Because the heroic piece drove me absolutely up the wall. So by the 5th expansion, when I could build a garrison, all of a sudden I'm commander, I'm this, I'm in charge of an army. And I'm like, no. Like, I'm a hunter. I walk with my bear, and if we need to, we save the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am not this great epic hero, and I was even, I think, talking either to you or Brian about this expansion, about that, was I feel better with this one, because they sent me as an emissary right off the bat.
Yes.
But after that, they don't really count you as, like, the hero.
They still call me where I am. They still call
You're
me
champion. And again, I think you're allowed to be called champion at this point. We've saved the world enough times.
Technically, this character just kind of jumped forward in time.
Yes, but...
So I haven't really saved anything.
But that's the shtick, is, like, I'm okay with champion. Because I think as soon as you kill one big boss, you can be called champion, and that's cool. But being, like, the entire hero of Azeroth, even with the artifact weapons when they came out, I'm like, why? Like, there's 1,200 Doomhammers running around. It doesn't quite work. Mm-hmm. Which is why, like, the new system I find works. They've stuck us in a lot of situations. Like, you've had to group up.
Yes.
For certain stuff. Like, it's yeah. WoW's always been good. You can play by yourself or you can play with people. And
we'll get into more description later.
But yeah, to go to that point, it's as much of a social game as you want it to be. So if you want it to be social, it's social. If you don't,
So I don't know. I didn't really.
No.
I don't know much about how people perceive World of Warcraft anymore. So, but just reading that article, I'm like, that's a weird. That's a weird way to
grind.
like.
I normally play on my own.
Right. But like the quests don't feel like you're that one here. I don't know. Maybe
and they don't.
And maybe that's like his perspective about it. So
And
they don't because
I prefer that now though. Like I prefer when it's like this town is on fire, go put it out, and you're a guy just grabbing buckets to throw on a fire. I'd rather be that guy. Yeah. I don't want to be
I think
single hero in an MMO. I think that defeats the purpose of an MMO.
Well, and it's like even taking away from the reality of the situation more, because when there's millions upon millions of heroes running around, why are you the hero?
Yeah, my appeal to Warcraft was always you get to be the grunt in that army. And especially with this new expansion being the fight between factions again, that's what I'm back to being. I'm back to being dwarven, at this point,
doing things to try and win over a faction to join your group.
Well, and then eventually fighting the other group and just being that guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm a member of an army. I'm not the member of this army.
You are not Blackhand.
Yeah.
You are Grunt number 74.
Yeah, and I prefer
who happens to have these kick-ass weapons.
So I get where he comes from with that, but at the same time,
you could be a grunt and a champion at the same time.
Yes, that grunt, and essentially they've done that with a lot of the heroes. Like, you know, certain heroes were just a regular class, and Sarfang, for instance, just being he was a warrior and he cleaved his way to, being an awesome guy who we now talk about in the game. That's it. Again, the Kulturas army,
I'll call it
whatever it comes out as, but like the Proudmoores were a name, but you didn't hear about any of these other people, which now that this expansion's out, it's like, oh yeah, I used to travel around with Proudmoore all the time. I was like his second in command sort of thing, and you're like, oh. That obviously came out of nowhere, but if you go back to Warcraft 2, he could legitimately be the second boat over, and you'd be like,
Seems legit.
Seems legit.
As long as he doesn't sink, he's good.
He's sunk in my game, but, in the overall story of things. But Warcraft's always done that, too, even with the ending of stories. Mm-hmm. If you play the raids, you don't ever actually land the killing blow on anything.
Really?
It's always...
Is it a group effort, though?
It is. It's a group effort to knock it down. But
the story-wise...
It's always like, this hero all of a sudden comes in, stabs the dragon in the head, and it's like, I did it, guys! Thanks for your help!
The end boss of everything is never you finishing it off. It's the group of actual, like, Illidan's and big hero, like, the named heroes.
I think that's the difference, because in Final Fantasy XIV...
It's you.
It's you, and when you have your big raid group, you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
When it switches to the cutscene, it switches to basically just your character and whichever NPCs are in the cutscene, and it's your character doing that action of whatever it is.
Oh, no, your character disappears in these cutscenes, and it's all of a sudden...
Totally, no.
Not as much now, but in those big
in the background.
They're sometimes in the background.
So that's why I appreciated Final Fantasy XIV for its goofy, and they're like, oh, I've got some goofy armor in this really serious cutscene. I just did this thing. Bowman, hi.
Pay attention to me.
I was just snapping this entire time, and
I'm full of energy now.
I'm ready to go, Bowman.
But WoW. Like, I know that drove Graham nuts about Elder Scrolls Online. He made his character, walked up, and the first person who talks to him is like, "Oh, good thing you here, chosen one." And there's 12 of people standing around the one guy, and he goes, "I don't feel like the chosen one."
Yeah,
there's Skyrim
is more. I feel in that case more of a single player.
Right, but that's the thing is, like, I think in MMOs they shouldn't make you feel like the hero. You should just be one of the people.
A dude.
I think Final Fantasy.
It's like Dungeons and Dragons. You're not like the hero. There should always be something that's going to knock you down.
Final Fantasy kind of gets a pass with that because of its lineage of it being a single-player game. They can get away with having your main character in these major cutscenes.
Yes.
But the writing in... 14,
and then again, it depends on the writing.
The writing is pretty solid as well in 14.
Because that's what, again, drove me nuts about Warcraft when they had to build a garrison. Is like, you're the commander-in-chief of this Alliance army, and I'm like, but there's 8,000 right? other... Yeah, no,
Hi, human.
Yes?
No, so I'm
in the same color as my shirt.
I don't remember.
In the same color as your shirt.
It must be because I haven't encountered...
Yes, Warlords, because it's... Yes. Because I'm trying to get my Frostbolt.
Can you avoid those?
The garrison stuff? Yeah, they don't make you do it. Well, if you go there, they make you run that quest around there, but you don't have to put any money into your garrison.
Good.
But you get to meet Duratan.
Don't care.
I don't know what his names
Don't care.
With Thrall with you, because time travel!
I am there to
Okay,
level
Doctor
my
Who.
hunter.
Time travel that didn't actually matter except to bring one character back that they killed.
Khadgar? Khadgar?
Gul'dan.
No.
Who's Golden?
A warlock.
Okay.
A very evil warlock.
But he died, and then they're like, how do we bring him back? Because our next expansion involves demons, and we need him to be, like, at the forefront of this thing. So
You
like,
couldn't have just come up with any other person that did it. You have to get the guy you killed off.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Unfortunately, they're running out of named people, which is
Just
kind of
make
why
up
I'm
more named people.
and that's what everybody's been clamoring for.
Just make
is
new people.
make new heroes.
Heroes, new villains, new things.
It doesn't
kinda
sell as
do.
well as being
You
like,
kinda
but
do.
Gul'dan's back, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, I know the name Gul'dan.
The
I
big
want
thing
to
for
play
Warlords for me when they were like, we're bringing back all these orc heroes, I'm like, good, because you did kill them off unceremoniously, like
In
1
2,
by 1.
3.
In 2 and 3, and like we didn't really we don't have a lot of orc heroes anymore, and some of them were brutally cool.
Like Black Hand.
Right, and then they ruined them subsequently in that expansion, and it's just like, oh, never mind, you shouldn't have brought them back at all. But either way, that's how Warcraft for me. Yes, you don't feel like the hero anymore,
Okay.
but it's a good thing to me.
I don't know. I wasn't sure if most people felt that, but then again, there are millions
preference.
upon millions of players.
And 90% of them don't listen to any of the quest text or any of the story or anything.
Nope.
Like that.
I know I never did.
I do.
I
but
can confirm that I
don't
don't.
read that. I just try and get through these quests as fast as I can.
I can
that's a lot of people.
I can confirm that I don't.
Well, and in the new expansion, you can level in PvP, you can level in dungeons, like you don't even have to run any of the quests.
I like the idea that there's no real servers anymore. That's pretty cool.
And yes, there's
I like that. I
There's-
read that. I'm like,
They're
oh.
merged servers.
yeah, they've merged most of them.
I wonder if
There's
that-
groups of them now.
I wonder if that was in response to like low sub numbers.
No.
No,
Before.
that was just
I think
their
it's-
tech got better.
Their tech. So they got the Smash Brothers tech for between the two stages. Now, which server are you on? Both.
Well, like I'm in a guild that's not even on our server.
Weird.
It's on Hydraxis or something like that. But,
Bless you.
Sure.
but yeah, they've merged most of the servers now, so it's just
Current tour.
Kieran Tor.
Yeah.
What about
I think that's a server. I see a lot of them.
Oh yeah, like you. The only thing I do miss is PvP. You only got matched up with your server, so you kind of got to know
Who's
people on the other
around.
side. So like if you got into a battle and you're like, oh no, like Doug's playing.
Yeah.
Never mind, guys. I'm just sitting this one out. Or you see the guy who you've
Or
been having
dungeons.
this like battle on, like this kind of one-on-one thing going for months. It's kind
Or
of
dungeons
fun.
when you run into a guy. It's
Or you'd
a good
recognize
person,
someone
yeah.
you grouped with, but PvP it was always if you like I used to group up with the same people to PvP way back in the day. So you'd get into a fight and you'd recognize the other group of people and be like, "Ah, you sons of guns again! All right, like, bring it."
Mm-hmm.
Or you got to know certain people's tactics of what they do. Like I'd run the same thing every time I played a certain map.
Yeah.
Same strategy every time. Well, by the third time I do it, they're on to me. But as soon as I play that match again and there's no one on the other team who recognizes me, it works this first 2 times again.
You try Fortnite.
I need to download an update.
Either
I'll
way,
do it
that's
later.
the answer to that one. Is
I don't
yes,
know.
you no longer feel like the ultimate hero, which is good. I am now
Makes
just
no
a
difference to me.
crossbow wielding guy who shoots horde.
Anyways,
You can go because
Apparently,
I
I guess
feel
you guys-
we're gonna segue into.
they're gonna wow pretty hard pretty quick.
So, just a quick story regarding your whole first 2 times use the same strategy,
Yes.
it works. 3rd time doesn't work. Just reminded me of back in the golden age of Modern Warfare 2. Call
Oh,
of
yes.
Duty.
Oh,
Um,
friend. Oh, so-
Me and some friends would play Capture the Flag occasionally, and
That is the game mode I was discussing.
we had a strategy in Capture the Flag specifically on the favela map, and 2 people would camp the flag, one person would roam around hunting, and two of us were running the enemy flag, and we would, on favela, it only worked on favela, we had a very specific path that we would run, and we would be on like completely opposite ends of this path, and it worked throughout the entire match. Every time we did it, we'd end up winning like 50 captures to 3.
And all they have to do is legitimately stand in that one path and shoot you as you run down it.
And it's the same path.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Why do we keep chasing him down this road? Let's just wait.
It's just kind of like, where are you guys? How has nobody caught on to the fact that I keep running the same path constantly the whole time?
Yeah.
And then like
teenagers.
And then match 2, like the second half of the round, you flip positions, and it was the exact same path again.
I miss that game.
Anyway, that had nothing to do with what I've done this week.
But what have you been done this week?
What have you done?
So, started watching Castle Rock.
Oh yeah,
that's a good show.
Is it?
Castle Rock.
The Stephen King.
Yeah,
universe.
it's like the Stephen King anthology type show. It's not an anthology series the same way that like Black Mirror or Electric Dreams is, where each episode is like an individual standalone story. So it's not that. But I keep seeing it being called an anthology series, so I'm guessing that what they mean by that is it actually does take inspiration from a number of different Stephen King stories.
Dig it.
So it's not just following one story, it's following Stephen King's bibliography, essentially.
Well, and he has 8 billion stories if you count his short stories and all that stuff. So.
And so there's like a lot of individual story arcs that are intertwining in sort of like a Crash or Love Actually-esque type way. Cool. But the intertwining is a little bit more intermingled, where like each of the individual stories have more to do with each other than necessarily just completely separate stories that intersect.
Yep.
And that's kind of where that's coming from. It's pretty obvious in it that it's...
What kind of style is it? Is it like a thriller, or is it a... Because like Black Mirror is very much like a thriller.
If you like something similar to Stranger Things, you'll like Castle Rock. Okay. You know, it's very sort
weird
of
things
like,
happen around this town. Kind of thing.
It's that.
Would you say it's more Twin Peaks then?
I've never seen Twin Peaks, so
okay, never mind then.
So maybe.
Okay. All right, never mind then.
But it's like it feels very obvious that there are just individual story arcs that are being pulled from, and like individual kind of supernatural, paranormal happenings within these story arcs. So it kind of feels like there's a bit of a mishmash of here's one thing and here's a completely different thing.
You can do
here's
a different genre
thing.
if you want to.
Not even different genre, but it's just kind of like pulling from different sort of like psychological
the characters are the
horror
same.
tropes.
But like the characters are still the same between each episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so
you've just described Twin Peaks.
Okay.
You've just described Twin Peaks.
But yeah, it's pulling out like a bunch of different psychological horror tropes, and being like, this person gets that trope, this person gets that trope, this person gets that trope, and whatever. So it like kind of feels like a bit of a mishmash in that way, but overall it's still really good, and I'm super enjoying it.
I will have to take a look.
Just, I like how they pull the different characters from the movies, like the original Carrie, Sissy's basic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I know she's in it.
Bill Skarsgård.
Pennywise.
Really?
Actor is in it.
Yeah. The actor, but not Pennywise.
Correct.
No.
He does not play Pennywise.
That would be wild.
From what we've seen so far.
What?
He does not play
That
Pennywise.
would be freaking like... Why would I watch part 2? He's right there.
That's season 3.
And I know they made mention of Shawshank being there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a love letter to...
But it's all Stephen King
and
based.
And that's it. A lot of it seems to be like Easter eggs and references instead of just pulling
blatantly
from material. And it's like, now we're going to tell the story of this book. I'm not overly familiar with Stephen King's works.
I wouldn't blame you.
I
wouldn't blame you.
Has a huge list of even short stories, and if they're going to pull from those, I mean, you'd never be able to unless you were a hardcore Stephen King fan be able to be like, that's this short story that they're just retelling.
But like based on headlines for IGN articles where after each episode they're like, these are all the references to Stephen King stuff in there. It feels like it's more using references and just pieces from the stories instead of taking the content and the plot of the stories and
so
mashing
writers
them
that
together.
actually care, which is nice.
And it's good. I like it.
Cool.
I have recently started rereading A Feast for Crows, which is the 4th Song of Ice and Fire book, what the Game of Thrones book series or show is based off of. So I've read the first 3. I started reading A Feast for Crows like 7 years ago or something, and I got distracted by a book that came out and I considered higher priority, and I just never got back to A Feast for Crows. So I left off at like 160 pages in, and it just never happened. But I'm about halfway through now. I just started rereading it, so I'm finally finishing that series.
I'm still on the first book.
The first book, I find the show follows the first book really closely.
And then it goes a little wonky.
Mm-hmm. But I'm...
So I can skip the first book now and just go to number 2?
It's the same thing.
Read the first book anyway, because there's still characters and stuff.
And I mentioned before about this, how the book and the show going down the same path, but it's different ways of telling it. Because the book follows individual characters, where the show is following...
I don't know. I keep hitting the same point in the book, and I'm like, it's not for more. It's not for more.
Fair enough.
It's not a book.
So far from what I've read, Storm of Swords is the best one, and it's amazing. That's the 3rd one.
Speaking of books, I did under your recommendation, I did pick up All You Need Is Kill. That's a weird book.
Have you finished it?
I'm about halfway through it right now. I've been reading it before I go to bed and then just sleeping. So I have to pick up a couple pages before it.
It's kind of easy to do because the little sub chapters can be pretty short
weird.
too.
It's super weird, but I've yet to see the actual film, so I think I'm gonna pick it up after
reading the book and then seeing the movie.
Yeah, I'm doing
Way
that.
To be.
I'm doing that. I'm doing that.
You'll get disappointed.
I heard Edge of Tomorrow.
Maybe not about that book, but just
I heard Edge of
in
Tomorrow
general.
is really good though as a film.
In general,
I liked it.
I always love when you can finally convince someone that the books are usually the better medium for that thing.
But I think
and then they're like, no, and then you're like, no, read the book.
I think our culture, like we know that most print media is going to be superior to the film.
Yes, because they can go into more
convincing
description.
a lot of people though, like if they don't read a lot of books, getting on that train of like, if you read the book, you're going to be like, why wasn't this in the movie? Like, this was an integral part. Why didn't they put it in? And you go, and then that's the fun part of going, why didn't they put certain things in? And that just goes to be like,
at the end of the day, a lot of it is just how much detail can you get into in the movie or show without A, boring your audience, or B, confusing your audience, or C, just making it last way
World
too
War
long.
Z.
Like,
No.
But
let's
again,
just take the name and then just go with
they
it.
departed completely. But I look at something
probably
like
a good one.
with Game of Thrones, though, like,
Still like both of them, but they're two different things.
what happens to Arya in season 2, when she gets captured, a lot of her experience is very different from what happens in the
That's
book.
what he's told me.
And like that's one of the weird ones where they didn't have to change it, but as far as the changes they did make, you really get to see a lot more of the character of Tywin Lannister because of the changes that they made, and I thought that was super cool. And
I'm not going into this.
Yeah,
Who actor plays him?
Oh,
Charles Dance.
yes.
Okay, that I did.
English guy.
He's old daddy Lannister.
Okay. That's what I was asking about.
Good actor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
I wasn't sure who.
But like things like the Bloody Mummers, they do not have those characters in the show, but it also makes sense. They just kind of incorporate members of the Lannister army instead, because why do you need the Bloody Mummers and the Lannister army working together in the show?
Just to confuse people.
It's just gonna add too much.
There were too many subgroups.
Yep.
There's
And I know the show eliminated Yeah, a few of them, but they didn't need.
See, because it's like I always look at this one, and it's always funny to me, but like the Hunger Games, which was good up until the ending of the third book, in my opinion, as what they are. Like, I mean, it's a teen, you know, whatever. It's a young adult book. It did a lot of good things in the first book. The second book felt like it should have been split in half. Like, the beginning should have been in the end of the first book, and the other one should have moved the other way. And I found that the author, I think, reached her deadline and just had to submit her work, because that's how it felt like at the end. It was just, and then this happened, the end. And you're like, what? That was a horrible payoff for getting to the end of a third novel.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? And then I watched the movie, but a lot of the books are in the main character's head and, you know, monologuing like, oh, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do there? What am I going to do?
You can't do that in the movie.
No.
Not without a clever twist, which is why, again, like, someone pointed this out even online. Spider-Man Homecoming, people are mad that he has a Stark suit that talks and does this and that and everything else, but the character of Karen allows him to...
Friday.
No, Friday is Tony's.
Yeah, Karen is Robot Lady.
Karen is Robot Lady. But Robot Lady allows him to do that exposition that Spider-Man does.
He can voice his thoughts to the AI.
To the AI. And all of a sudden everybody's like... Someone pointed that out and everybody's like, oh, damn, I was mad at the robot before, but it allows him to do the monologuing that he does in the comics all the time. Because in the comics, you're reading it and it's not... It's in his head most of the time. This one allows him to actually audibly say them, and you're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, see, you have to give, if a character, if half the book is in their head, you have to find a way of...
I don't know how you...
Or you need to pull a Fight Club.
Or you have to pull a Fight Club.
And just have them also narrating throughout the entire thing.
Because that's Katniss's thing in Hunger Games.
I don't know how you would do that with her, though.
Well, they tried by making her do facial expressions. So that's why it looks like Katniss is farting in every movie, because it's supposed to be her thinking about the process of, oh, what am I going to do? But it's...
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go
if you read the books and then watch the movies, you kind of go, oh, she's thinking about the process, like, you know, oh no, like, but I don't really love him, but I love him. And I mean, that's half the books that started driving me nuts too. But instead of having her like, I don't know who I love, the movies are just like...
Just blank faces almost at that point.
Well, yeah, and the direction on some of those wasn't stellar. And I haven't seen.
Why is she so like interested in like a sandwich bread all the time? Like I don't understand. Like,
and again, the way that all the books round out, it just drove me nuts. But and then something like The Hobbit, where they just threw in stuff that wasn't ever actually in any of the books, drove me nuts. But
oh, Battlefield 1's pretty cheap.
Yeah, but then
$10.
Something like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You know, I discussed that with kids. Why did they change certain things? Well, sometimes it's budget.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's this. Sometimes, as long as they stick to the core something.
Yeah. And I think kind of rounding back to the Game of Thrones is where when she's talking, Daenerys is talking to the slave guy.
In which book?
Or
it's
episode.
In the show. Remember when she's going to give away her
season?
dragon?
Hmm?
And she's talking to those slave guys? Or that slave guy?
She talks to a lot of slave guys. You have to be more
when
specific.
she's first getting her slave army. Like the...
Oh, the slaver. Yeah. Okay, the guy that's trying to like sell her the Unsullied?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't remember what book that's in.
I can't either. But it's probably
But just the
a
different
Storm of Swords.
perspectives. But just the different perspectives of that, though, is from the book. In that situation, you know, she knows what he's saying. But in the show, where it played off better, where she's just sitting there stone-faced, and you don't know she knows what he's saying.
And there's some stuff, yeah, like, and again, and that's a good director and good writer for both mediums, where on TV they can play that game with you, and you're like, oh, and if you've read the books, you know.
One
If you haven't, then you
thing
don't.
One thing along those very same veins that the show does super well is Cersei.
Yeah.
Lena Headey is fantastic in that role because in the book she has so much internal monologue going on about what she's thinking about all of the idiots that she's talking to. And obviously she can't just outright blurt those things out in the show. They don't have a mental narrative thing that they've
Does she
put
talk
in there.
to a lot of people then, or she just literally like talks? I don't watch the show. show, but like, does she
like everyone talks to a lot of people?
But like, does she have that? Does she ever like have those moments? To
hers,
herself?
it's either her demeaning
for her.
Yeah,
it's 100% in her body language because her body language and her facial expressions and her tones just says all of the things that she's thinking in the books without having to voice the words.
Because I understand that, and I've never read. Because
I've watched,
and you get that opinion on her. The show is like she is so tired of everyone around her right now. It's not even.
Because my first real experience with Lena Headey as an actress was watching her in, now this is a bad show, the Terminator TV show, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Yeah. She was probably the best part of that about that show, in my opinion.
Yeah, she was good.
But
again, the writing wasn't as solid on that, and directing and this and that. Like,
there was a lot of other pieces why that show fell apart.
But yeah, see, that's where I think they wanted to head with the blank stares of Jennifer Lawrence in,
and it just didn't quite work.
And it doesn't play because she's not.
She doesn't have that gravitas yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, Feast for Crows has a lot of stuff that goes on with it, with the Greyjoys and the Iron Islands that they do not do in the show, and it's all so good.
Yeah, because the Greyjoys come in this book, but in the show they only came maybe last season.
Well, and they've got tons of scenes where the Greyjoys are like trying to decide who's going to take up the Sea Stone chair after Balon dies, and like there's just so much like political stuff in the book that's good, and you're learning about new interesting characters and seeing interesting things happen between them that they just don't have time for in the show, because you can't go into these big explanations as to who all of Balon's brothers are.
And now we have a monologue by blah 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 as he approaches, like, breaks the fourth wall.
So they streamline a lot of that. So that's cool. Been playing some. I'll just start talking about some role-playing games, because that's the big nerdy thing that I do. Play a lot of role-playing games. I had a Lord of the Rings session last night. The Lord of the Rings role-playing game is ridiculously mechanic-heavy. There are so many tiny micro-mechanics within the game that make that game work.
Like it's a tabletop rolling dice kind of game?
It's like D&D.
Okay, good.
But Lord of the Rings. And there are so many micro-mechanics in how the characters play, and it's a really weird thing where you sit there feeling like this is way too many micro-mechanics for a game, but also they totally feel 100% Lord of the Rings, and if you took out any of them, it would not feel as much like you're playing Lord of the Rings.
Right.
So it's not like you have to roll your dice to see if your bowstring snaps as you draw back your bow and all of that kind of stuff. Like,
no,
it fits better with the lore.
It's things where like you have to keep in mind, like you're standing in the place that you live. Like if you're going off adventuring and people just forget about you, you're gonna lose standing. Your relationships aren't gonna stand up.
It's very Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. And what's really, really cool about this game is that it's not like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, where you are a mighty hero that can slay dragons. You are literally a human or a dwarf, and if you go up against a dragon, you're probably going to die. If you go camping in the woods for an elongated period of time, you might die, because guess what? Mirkwood sucks.
Yep.
Mirkwood sucks a lot.
Yeah.
So it's...
You get ganked by some orcs in the middle of the night.
It's a really weird game where your character does not feel heroic, but the role-playing aspect is still a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Like, the first session of this that I played, it might have been the second session, but one of the first major sessions, we were literally helping out with, like, trying to make political relationships within the lower regions of Mirkwood, just the like different people that live there, and it was so kind of mundane, and it was so good.
Just because the choices you make.
It really feels like you're making choices for your character, and it doesn't always pay off, and it's almost never on a surprisingly grand scale.
So it's more than just combat. It's more,
so much more than combat. Combat's a very small part of it, actually.
And I kind of like that with, I know when I did Warhammer with Graham, it was kind of the same shtick where he knows everything about Warhammer, so he would do that, like, he had a booklet where he wrote down like, okay, this is the town they're going into. In that town, there are these townspeople doing this and all of like, and yeah, you're doing the political shtick where you'd spend 3 hours playing, and we'd get into one tiny fight that lasted us 2 seconds because it was non-important. What we were doing around it was the big piece, and I like that. And I also like in dice roll games and tabletop games where if I do something that screws up, I'm screwed, and the only way I get out of it is by pure luck. Which, if you read The Lord of the Rings, they get lucky a lot.
Oh yeah,
The Hobbit and The Lord of the all of that stuff.
Yeah,
they luck out, which is kind of cool. So that's nice that tabletop game does that.
In the session last night, we essentially spent the entire time trying to hunt a very rare deer in the forests of Mirkwood, and we are terrible at hunting. It just went so badly.
Terrible or just bad dice rolls?
Yes.
Yes.
It just went so badly that on like day 14 or something of the hunt, we were like, holy crap, hunting sucks. Want to go back home? And we just left and we went back home, and we were like, we literally did nothing that whole session. Found out that hunting sucks.
Never do it again.
That was a good session. We had fun with that.
Learning to make mistakes is just as fun as learning.
Yeah. And obviously, been playing MechWarrior Online. Finished leveling up 2 of my Blood Asp variants. Blood Asp is
I totally heard Blood Asp, by the way.
Asp.
Still
like the snake.
Blood Asp.
It's one of the newer mechs in the game. It was released with the May patch update, so released mid to end of May. Super liking that mech. Nice. Really good assault mech. I don't know as far as meta-wise if it's one of the best mechs, but
you don't care about that kind of stuff.
Hello.
Oh, greetings, worrisome.
Hello.
But yeah, it's always been one of my favorite mechs, so I pre-ordered it when I saw that it was coming up, and I was like, sold. It's cool because it's got a lot of the variants have these really nice high shoulder mounts so that you can kind of peek over cover without exposing a lot of your mech and take some shots and then go hide back into cover. But just in general with this particular chassis, the Blood Asp, I've got 3 of them, and they're 3 of the best builds that I have, and it might just be because I've been playing a bit more often and my playstyle is getting a little bit better, or it might be because this particular mech is working well for me. But
we're gonna have to get you one of those like the $8 billion mech.
I would hate that so much.
Like the one for Steel Battalion.
Yeah. it's like the steering wheel, but for mechs.
There's a button that's just for eject.
And I would be using it constantly.
And that's what
That's
I've
the
been
only
doing.
button I press.
Cool.
Eject.
So, right into World of Warcraft?
No.
Hey, Ross, let's go.
Okay, so...
Alright, what else have you guys been doing that's not World of Warcraft?
I watched...
Movies and TV.
Yeah, I watched... So going back to your... the nudity in movies sort of thing, I watched an entire movie called The Package. It is on Netflix.
I bet you it's fun.
The title card is an eggplant.
Yes, okay. I was going to say.
Do you not watch this film?
Whoa, that's a glowing review.
It starts off like a road trip movie, like Sex Tape Road Trip, all of those, where a bunch of teens are going... Euro Trip. Bunch of teens are going camping, and something's going to happen. Well, what ends up happening is one of the guys has a butterfly knife, and subsequently, while he's in the woods taking a whiz, his friends scare him as he's playing with the butterfly knife while he's
That's
whizzing,
a bad idea.
in the first place. And either way, he cuts off his wang. And the rest of the movie is he gets airlifted to a hospital. There's the old switcheroo where they give him the wrong cooler full of beer instead of the one with his penis in it. And the rest of the movie is them having only 12 hours. They have to get his member back to him.
Okay.
I'm
And
expecting
again-
raunchy humor in this.
Yes, but no.
It didn't go all the way. It didn't go all the way.
All over the place, and a lot of it you're just like, that was dumb. You could have done this instead. And again, that's where.
So what? Like the humor didn't go all the way to dumb humor.
It kind of skipped dumb humor and went to the point where it was just too much.
Unnecessary.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
Like, I mean, there's some good jokes right off the bat. It's like kind of things fall apart in certain parts of the thing. Like at one point, the guy's penis gets bit by a snake. So the 4 people left are like, well, we have to suck the venom out of it.
Of course.
You know, who's going to do this? And da-da-da-da-da-da. And they walk in on the one guy as he's like... And then the joke pays off later, which is awesome. But some of the subsequent things that happen throughout the rest of it, you're just like, who wrote... Did 12 people write this film? Like, they each got a section?
They all got an act.
Yeah, like, I don't... So, yeah, it didn't piece together as well. I knew what I was getting into as soon as...
So, the trailer?
I didn't see the trailer. We just put it on as we had nothing else to watch.
Yeah, no, I watched that trailer.
There's always something else to watch.
This is a Netflix exclusive.
This is a Netflix movie.
Of course.
It is brought to you by the guys who do Workaholics. They're part of the producing team.
It might not be on Netflix, but if you need something else to watch, just text me. I'll give you some recommendations.
And we
you
have
walls of movies.
I know, but I have an entire and it's not even that. It's just we're in bed and we're pretty much passing out. Let's just throw like a comedy on.
Put something on to put you over the edge and just knock you right out.
This one I just stayed up because I was up. My wife fell asleep, but I'm like, well...
Good thing. You're a lucky one.
I'm 3/4 of the way through this. I can't give up now. Does the man get his penis back? I must know.
It's so bad when you come across a movie and you get 3/4 of the way through and you're like, I know that I've only got 20 minutes left in this. It's not worth my time. I'm shutting it off anyway.
What movie was that? I had to start I started live tweeting it just to finish the movie. Like, just, this movie is so bad. Like, I have to start tweeting or else I'm going to pass out or I'm going to fall asleep.
That happened to me with a movie on Netflix. It was called Superfast.
Oh, yeah.
And it is a literal spoof off of Fast and the Furious.
Is it a spoof or is it an asylum film?
I was going to say asylum film.
Yes, one of those asylum spoof movies where it's like
over the top. Those aren't spoofs. Those are just,
That was bad. I literally had to stop.
Titanic 2. Either way.
It was like Scary Movie kind of dumb.
3 Musketeers, all for one and guns for all.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I need to see that now.
It's actually super good if you're drinking.
And that's like, and that's where this movie, it's not even that.
I love that tagline.
But that's like, it's not even, the package isn't even that kind of movie where it's like, oh, I'm in the mood for something like this.
Yeah.
It's not Euro Trip. Obviously, they try to start it off, and you're like, oh, they're going into the woods camping. Hopefully I'm getting without a paddle. Like, you know, there's no one in this film.
No
like, there's names. No names in this movie.
No one's going anywhere in this film.
Yeah.
That so actually might be worse for them.
Yeah. Could have been a detriment to their career. I ended up watching the first couple episodes of Disenchantment, which is the new Matt
Groening
show.
I thought it was graining or something.
I don't know. Either way, however you pronounce it.
The Simpsons and Futurama guy.
Yeah. Simpsons and Futurama. This is definitely the same art style as the Simpsons and Futurama. Like, it is done.
I think I saw a thumbnail for it before I saw anything else, and I was like, oh, the Simpsons guy's doing a new thing.
Yeah, pretty much. There's little nods. Like, there was an elf character with, like, spiky hair that was yellow.
Of course.
There's a wig shop that they go to eventually that has, like, Fry's hair.
Of course.
Like, there's the little touches where you're like, oh, cute.
At some point, I'm going to see a Planet Express ship fly in the background.
I don't think you'll get that, because this is the fantasy version of what's going on. Either way, it's about a princess who wants to be happy all the time. Because, like,
who doesn't want to be happy?
Well, she's being married off to a guy that she doesn't want, like, she's never met. Da-da-da-da-da-da. So she wants freedom, she wants to be happy. And then there's an elf, like they've gone with the miniaturized, they make candy all the time and get paid in candy kind of elf. And he is happy all the time and wants to go somewhere where he can be miserable. Because he's tired of being happy all the time, because he's just not.
Yeah, okay.
And then at some point they throw in randomly, the princess ends up cursed with this demon called Lucy.
Is it that black little thing? I've seen bits and pieces of that one.
So he follows her around, trying to get her to do bad things.
It's got a Bill Cipher kind of feel from Gravity Falls.
He's very much like, she's like, I wish I could just kill him, and he's like, you could. Like, and then on the other side, you now have the elf who's like, well, maybe we should try this instead. Like the eternal optimist who doesn't actually want to be the optimist. So, and the elf like gets into situations because he's never been to the outside world. So he's kind of our view into this thing, except he's completely moronic because he just walks into places like, hi, I'm Elfo! And everybody tries to either capture him or kill him or something of that fact. So it was funny. Like, I laughed. It's only 10 episodes. Yeah. So it's kind of... and again, I'm not sure if it's old Simpsons, new Simpsons, somewhere in between, I guess.
Okay.
And it is trying to find its feet. Because it's a brand new animated show, so it's not like you go in going, oh, I know Homer and all that.
Being on Netflix, it'll be a little more flexible for him to.
And I mean, they
hopefully pump them out.
Yes, whether they can pump them out.
Problem is pumping things out too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I think we actually talked about that after they announced when Iron Fist was coming out and Daredevil were like, oh look, Ross was right, we're getting everything this year. But
oh, did they announce Daredevil's coming out?
Yeah,
it's coming out this year.
And later at the end of this year.
It's coming out this year.
It's like Iron Fist is only coming out in September. There's still easily room for.
They fit it in.
I don't know when, but they did. December.
But this show, like they play loose with the first episode. It's 36 minutes long, no commercials, that kind of thing. So obviously much longer than The Simpsons or Future. To you too. Yeah, good show overall. You get 3 main characters going through a bunch of medieval, wacky, sort of stuff, and they go full on fantasy. There's orcs and trolls and that kind of stuff.
I assume they'll all end up being little references to things like Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings.
Probably,
along the way.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
little things like that. But yeah, the demon part's fun because he's just there to stir stuff up all the time.
He's chaotic evil.
He is, yeah. And then there's the elf who I guess would be chaotic good because he wants to do good things. Like there's one part where they're falling. Like, she deliberately try and get away from something, jumps off a cliff, and she looks at the demon, and she's like, well, you're magic, right? And he's like, yep. Not that kind of magic, though. And she looks at the elf, and she's like, you? And he's like, maybe I am! And he just starts flapping his arms, and he's like, nope. And you're just like, all right, like, there's pieces in there that are really well done. So I think it's just the fact that The Simpsons has just been on so long, and new writers, and this and that and everything, where this is Matt and another guy doing a show right from square one.
Well, I think what I saw was they've done the present, they've done the future,
and now they've gone to the past.
What other timelines are they gonna go to now?
I'm assuming he's done. Like, he's getting older.
With that,
pay attention to me. Yeah, that's it. Erase the board.
Thank you.
So I watched that, and then I watched the director's commentary on Avengers.
I really want to.
After watching the Avengers again.
Was the director's commentary worth watching?
Yes, because it's the Russos and the 2 writers for the thing.
Okay. So those guys do not get enough credit.
The writers?
Yeah.
They are, yeah. So they've been at Marvel since the first Captain America movie. They wrote the first Captain America movie. So them just discussing the little choices they made throughout the film is kind of nice. Like, they don't go into, oh, we lit the scene this way or that way. If there is a cool shot, it's, the writer's going like, where did that one come from? And they're like, it was previs, I think. But there's so many people working on this movie. Even the Russo brothers are like, I think that came from here. Like, they're very nonchalant about a lot of their stuff.
Did you make the decision? No, did you?
No. But then finding out, like, you watch it, and at the very beginning of the movie, they're like, we didn't know where Thor was going to end with Thor 3, and then we got Thor 3, and we're like, oh, we have to make Thor funny. While still keeping what they had kind of plotted out for him. And then they're like, and then they're filming Black Panther on the other side of Atlanta while we're trying to film, our stuff here, and we didn't know that Wakanda and Black Panther was going to become this huge thing that it became. We lucked out. And they're like, but, the actors are coming, and we're filming this one scene, and one of the actors starts, doing, like, one of their war chants and this and that and everything. And we're like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm just trying to pump everybody up. This is what we were doing, the other movie,
really, really wildly successful.
Yeah, the other movie. Well, but they didn't know. Like, they were filming at the same time, so they're, we're just doing the same thing we did over there. And they're like, what does it mean? And they're like, well, in African, it's, you know, taking that, like, do this, do that, you know, defend ourselves, da-da-da-da-da-da. And they're like, well, don't do it now. Save it for the screen, man. Like, they're actually pretty genuine about talking about what they can't talk about, bearing in mind they can't talk about a lot because they don't want to spoil the fourth movie. Yeah. So it's 4 guys sitting in a room talking about the film they made. Which is kind of cool. Like it was, I thought it's one of those commentaries where you're, if you like the behind the scenes stuff, they do enough talking about it where you're like, oh, cool.
I definitely want to watch the gag reel stuff. That looks like a lot of fun.
It's a 3-minute, 4-minute gag reel.
It's still funny.
Yeah. And again,
they looks like some of it on Facebook.
It looks like a lot of people had fun. Some of the featurettes on, like I watched all the featurettes and stuff. It looks like they have fun. The Russo brothers, considering again the size of this production. You know, the stunt team won an award for Civil War, and they made sure they called it out and congratulated them while they were on set the one day. Like, they try to actually create relationships with everybody, which is insanity to me. And then at the end credits, one of them cracks a joke where they're like, if you watch long enough, your name will appear. Because we pretty much hired everyone on Earth to make this film.
At some point.
At some point, everybody has worked on this movie. So.
My name's in there 3 times. Right off the bat. I'm good.
Mine's
right. Full name.
Mine's right there next to the Robert Downey Jr. Yeah.
So yeah, if you watch... Oh no. I locked a door that I wasn't supposed to lock.
Anyways, so Infinity War is pretty great. I want to watch it. I want to watch the... I
think it was the last thing you said.
Yeah, I want to watch the behind the scenes stuff too. But I have the DVD on order from the Library.
I don't pay attention to that stuff.
From the Library, because I can find the movie no problem. That is not hard to find. But it's the behind the scenes stuff which is harder to find.
I am probably going to purchase it after we leave here. That's the Walmart stuff.
Okay.
I'm very much
things are coming together now.
I'm waiting for the big Phase 3 box collection to buy it. So
no,
that's usually what I do.
I didn't wait for the big Phase 1 box, and at that point it was like, well, it's too late now, so I don't care about any of them.
Oh, I have 1 and 2.
They're all just lined up on my shelf in
chronological.
I have the Space Stone and the Power Stone.
You're almost there.
I'm the second most powerful being in the universe.
But yeah, and the Russo brothers do talk about like individual storylines throughout the film, because each character did have a story arc, even if it was like, you know, like Groot shows up and they're like, Groot's is pretty easy. He goes from being a jerk to not being a jerk. Like,
I was kind of hoping that there was going to be a little bit more interaction between Mark Ruffalo and the General, actually. I was kind of hoping that was going to pan out somewhere, because they were like in the room next to each other.
He came in after.
Yeah, he was hiding.
Yes, but I would like to see. I would have loved to see how that would have played out.
And we don't know what
we don't know.
For. Either way, it was kind of nice getting the guys who wrote the story and then had to make it actually work, talking together.
Yeah, those guys don't get enough credit.
The writers really don't, and that was their thing. They're like, where did Red Skull come from? And they're like, well, we know where all the bones are buried. It's kind of our shtick. We wrote him out. Mm-hmm. We can write him back in.
Yeah, Disney keeps hiring them for some reason.
They're good writers. Like that's. I liked the first Captain America movie. I've liked all the Captain America movies.
Me too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is the first one as good as Winter Soldier or Civil War?
No.
But it was also still a solid movie.
Yeah.
I rewatched that recently, and it's still so much fun.
Yeah.
I kind of it's almost too
on the low end for me.
It's almost a shame that they used Tommy Lee Jones in that role, because they can't reuse him in a future movie unless timey-wimey stuff happens. But
he was also frozen in an ice.
Yes, oddly enough, he was in
Time Stone.
Timey-wimey. Time vortex.
All those stones better blow up by the end of the fourth movie.
That's true.
Either way, so yeah, it was kind of fun to watch that one. And then I got a new game on my Switch called Floor Kids. It is a dancing rhythm game.
I'm interested.
So essentially, you are a
I heard about
dancer.
this. I've heard of this one.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's pretty simple.
I've heard this one.
You literally can press any of the face buttons as long as you're keeping the beat.
Yeah.
It's a freestyle-y kind of thing.
It's a very freestyle game, because that's the whole point, is you're street dancing, and then if you rotate the stick, your guy does a spinning move on the floor, either backwards or forwards. If you flick down, he'll start going, like, doing stuff that's closer to the ground. There's a bunch of different dancers. They all do different things. And then if you hold down the trigger button and rotate, they do a special thing. And if you press a direction and the button at the same time, they'll do, like, a freeze thing.
Okay.
And essentially your job is to go through all the venues with, I think there's 40 different tracks. And the better you do, the more cards you collect, and each card goes to a specific character as you unlock your crew. And then to get to the last level, you have to have everybody unlocked, and a whole bunch of these crown things that you get from all the levels, and that kind of stuff. I got it for $8. It does have multiplayer involved some way. $8 is a very key number for me. I think it's kind of my, like, 10's too much.
I bought Insult Simulator for like $1.
Yeah. Oh no, that's why I bought Insult Simulator. It was $1.25. I'm like, even if I play it for a minute, I've already made my money back.
Insult Simulator.
You legitimately.
Oh my god, it's so
to
much
beat
fun.
Another person's insults.
It's funny.
Also multiplayer.
Okay.
But yeah, this one does have a multiplayer thing to it too. Once you get to a certain part of the track, it breaks it down to where you have to hit like the beats, and so there's a line and some X's, and you have to boom, 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 boom. And after you've done a track twice, it's pretty easy. I have not gotten that far, so I don't know if it's like complete insanity, but I've played through, I think, the first 3 levels. But then each level unlocks, like, the characters move around the city, so it's not like you play the first level, get really good at it, and you unlock Bob. Bob will move from place to place. So if you're trying to unlock Bob, you kind of have to follow him. So it's an interesting game for $8. Kind of fun.
I saw that on a direct a couple months back, and it definitely caught my eye.
Yeah, the art style's kind of cool. Like, it's all pretty funky. Individual, almost hand-drawn animations for all the moves and that kind of stuff. The crowd will shout stuff at you, so if they want you to do a pose, you have to do a pose. There's combos, so if you start putting stuff together, you'll actually get extra points. Not bad. Again, for $8.
Yeah.
It's not bad. So that's me until the thing we're both going to talk about. So, yep.
What's you up to? Minus
Minus that. That's the only game I played. Tell you that.
Well, there you go.
Pretty much.
I finished Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, you did.
Wait, you never finished it?
No, he was just watching.
Wow.
it. So you finished season.
I binged it.
Whatever's on Netflix.
Netflix is up to date.
Season 5 on Netflix.
It's up to date.
Okay,
It's
good.
up to
Good,
date.
Weirdly
good,
enough.
good. I
That
wasn't
was
sure.
a good last episode.
It was a good last episode.
You know
Oh my
what?
God.
Like, I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but if they actually didn't get someone to do a 6th season, I feel like that last episode would have been a good place to leave it off.
They had 2 endings filmed.
The other ending was pretty cool too. The other ending, the not fake ending, but the one if they weren't going to be brought back for. Did they ever talk about that, or did you hear about that one? So,
all they told us is we'd find out about Holt.
No, the second ending, the one that they filmed, but obviously aren't using it because they were brought back for a 6th season. Because it was going to be one of those like montage sequences where it's like, oh, now a year down the road, this is where these people are.
I know people wanted an ending like that. They didn't say that they wanted an ending. They weren't doing that.
I thought that's what their backup plan was.
Nope.
Use that ending.
Their backup plan was legitimately when Holt goes, "I've heard back," they were going to tell you what happened.
Oh, I thought
And that was it. And then everybody's like, "So?" And they're like, "We're changing our story." Like, the actors don't even know at this point.
I thought that was what they filmed. They filmed that sort of
The
like
montage stuff?
Yeah.
No.
I thought they did.
No, that's what people were hoping they had filmed if
Oh.
it was ending. But
Either way, it was a good ending.
So it was
I like
as expected for a cliffhanger ending.
There is a bomb.
there is a bomb.
It is
It's your butt.
It is your butt's the bomb.
They have intertwined so well.
Your butt's the bomb.
Yes, that was good.
I think I almost had a tear in my eye.
Oh,
when she said
so
that.
much. Well, and even Holt stuff where he's like, I've watched your relationship blossom from, like, whatever, like, immature to now an immature, like, childish marriage. Like,
Yeah, I suspect he doesn't get the job, but I'm gonna say no
Who
because
knows?
he'd have to be somewhere else.
they did that with him, though.
They did that for once, a part of his
But they're
season.
bringing him back. They're not going to just put him as
Or maybe they'll
commissioner
all
and
go
then-
with him.
no.
I
I
know,
think
'cause
he
that would
doesn't.
give
I
them
don't
all
think he
desk
gets
jobs.
it.
I don't know. That one's a tough one because they do only have, like, they're filming everything because that was their big thing at Comic-Con was they're like, well, do you know if, like, you'll get another season? They're like, well, here's our shtick. we film 13 episodes. Then they don't air till mid-season. So we have no idea what ratings are going to be like until we're done. Like, once the shows are submitted, they're done.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't even pull the whole 2 endings thing this time. So I feel like season 6 is going to have more of a definitive finish.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, yeah, this one was good. We got the ending of the they get married, we're good.
Yep.
What happens to everybody else is whatever.
Yeah.
Because all the other major storylines are tied up. So.
Yeah, pretty much.
For the most part.
Did dive into Buffy a little bit.
The Vampire Slayer?
The movie?
No.
Why
I
not?
have the movie.
Why not?
I have the movie.
The movie is good in its own right.
Cheesy own.
Yes. No, just a few episodes. I stopped mid-season.
Oh. So you didn't start at the beginning?
No. I'm on where she's in college and it's Adam.
Ugh.
I'm 2 episodes away from finishing. I don't remember how that one ended. Like, I don't remember how that season ended. I look back at it. I look at the previews for it. I don't remember this.
Worst boyfriend out of all of those seasons? Worst big bad of all of those seasons?
Spike is the best.
Spike was never a big bad.
No, as a boyfriend.
He kind of was in the first season, and then they just kind of like tapered that off because they wanted to keep him coming back, I guess. Hello.
Hello again.
Greetings!
Hi.
Bay Cypress 254.
Hi.
Yeah, I look at all the episodes now and it's like I don't remember this stuff.
Anything I like the first season.
I don't remember half the Glory stuff.
Oh, Glory.
I don't remember half of that.
That's right.
Like I know the villains and what order they go in, but I do not remember how.
I still remember how confused I was. Whatever season they added, Michelle Trachtenberg. Yeah, Dawn, and it was
Glory.
Well, so that was my shtick. Like, I used to watch the show with my mom, and we both, when that season started, and it was like, you know, you're the worst sister ever, and we're both like,
Sister?
did we...
Was she always
Did we... Like, it did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Yes.
Because they played it into the show perfect, but...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that Glory wasn't bad.
Glory, and then you get the nerds, the next one.
Yeah.
And
one of those is an Oscar-winning nerd, I'll have you know, or an Emmy-winning nerd.
Still.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for that.
Hosting.
That's just our chat.
But yes, that's TV.
Yeah.
Watched 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Sweet.
Seriously, what the hell?
Still have to watch that.
I liked that.
That
so
ending?
good. Yeah, other than the ending sequence, that movie was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit I was starting to fall asleep.
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Before that Buffy we were talking about.
Before
Yes.
that, yes.
Yeah, that ending.
Yeah, the ending could have been cut. That ending could have been cut. It could have been cut. I'm not gonna lie.
Because I know it's kind of supposed to tie into Cloverfield.
It's supposed to tie into the whole Cloververse thing.
But I don't
that was
see
their
how.
It does. Okay, well, have you seen the Have you seen
Paradox?
The Paradox yet? So the Paradox explains that.
So essentially what keeps happening is they find scripts and then they're like, this could work.
Yes, because I read the IMDb on it. This was a totally different movie.
Have any of us watched Paradox yet?
No.
Just
okay, so I still have to watch 10 Cloverfield Lanes.
You can definitely watch it independently.
John Goodman did a very good job.
Oh my God,
John Goodman usually does.
He's so good. I'm
weird.
John Goodman, in my mind, is a very underrated act. Like, we don't get to see him a lot.
No.
And maybe that's his choice. I don't know, but I feel like he should be in way more stuff.
So good.
So good.
I think his Community stuff is so spot on.
Everything he does, though,
yeah.
like Big Lebowski stuff,
Okay.
Roseanne.
Have fun at dinner.
Have a good dinner.
Have good dinner food.
I have to eat lunch.
His guest starring in the 2 episodes of Studio 60 on the Sunshine Strip. I don't know how many of you have seen that.
I've never even heard of that.
He was so on fire in that episode.
Okay, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip came out at the same time as 30 Rock. One was a comedy based on the behind the scenes of how SNL works, which was 30 Rock. Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip was the drama version of what happens behind the scenes.
It still had humor to it.
Yes.
Okay.
But it was a much more serious humor.
show. It was it the West?
It was Aaron Sorkin,
Yeah.
so West Wing and
Okay.
Newsroom.
Such a good show, but it only lasted half a season.
No, it got a full
Did it get
season.
full season?
Yeah, it had like 22 episodes.
Yeah, good
Okay.
show.
Yeah.
I missed
Really
it.
good. And the
Yeah.
last like 5 episodes are just.
But yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane.
I had to
It's
watch them
so
all in a
much
row.
fun. It's so like, it's very different than
It was
Cloverfield.
very different.
So did you like it better than Cloverfield?
No, I kind of like Cloverfield better.
I can't.
I did like
Or
it
just
better than
different movies.
Cloverfield, but for me it's because I had to stop Cloverfield halfway through so I didn't throw up.
I was gonna say, so you could throw up and come back.
Fresh air.
Yeah.
I can see that. They're so wildly different, and I'm just so sad that Overlord is officially not part of any of thing in that entire universe anymore.
So they say.
Yeah, so they say
I
right
don't even know what that is.
It's the next Cloverfield.
now. That reportedly
The next movie that they've sucked into their
Cloververse.
Cloververse, because that's what they did with Paradox. Is they're
Paradox
like, here's-
Paradox explains why all these movies exist.
Yeah, but it wasn't supposed to at first. It was a completely separate movie again.
Yes,
And they're
They
like,
kept secret
and they're like, oh, here, like, let's just put this in. The
Again, same thing with the 10 Cloverfield Lane. If it wasn't for like the last maybe 20 minutes of Paradox,
Yeah.
it would be its own movie.
Yeah.
So
But yes, did that or watched that. Sorry. Also watched Triple X, Return of Xander Cage.
noise.
Any good?
It was a good action movie.
It's a good action.
Some of the
It's
some of
actually-
the acting was just brutal.
So Fast and the Furious.
No, I find Fast and the Furious better than.
Oh,
Whoa, that's.
I do like the Fast. I enjoy.
Okay,
it.
I guess
better
which generation of Fast and the Furious? Earlier stuff or newer stuff?
Doesn't matter. They're all good except Tokyo Drift.
Tokyo Drift
But
is
they
the
fitted-
Tokyo
Drift
Drift
is
is the
okay.
best one. I'd slam this table if I could.
They fit it into the continuity very well.
They didn't need to fit anything. That movie was just great.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean it was good action. Callbacks to even number 2.
I read that. Like Ice
2 was the one with Ice-T, right?
Yes.
Ice
And
Cube,
Ice
Ice
Cube.
T,
Ice-T, Ice Cube,
Cube.
okay. Ice something.
Ice-T is
Ice Rapper.
SVU, right?
Yes.
Ice Rapper. He's also on some weird criminal show now.
SVU.
No, not SVU. Like an actual like. Crime
Oh, he does a true crime
That's
show.
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Where he does his exact character from SVU, except explaining how a murder happened.
And using really bad puns.
Yeah, well, they write those for him, but he does that in SVU.
Either way,
Yeah,
so Triple X.
It was nice to kind of have that kind of tied together, I guess. I haven't
Yeah.
actually watched 2.
Neither did I, because,
It was a terrible movie, apparently.
well, and Vin Diesel wasn't in it. If I'm
He
going to watch...
doesn't do- he does 2s now, but
Wasn't
back in the
was
day, he never did a sequel.
And now that's all he does.
Fast and the
He's
Furious.
found his niche.
Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
He's accepted his niche.
Can't wait for the pacifier, too.
Nope.
Still don't like that movie. I think it's gold. Cinema gold.
Still waiting for that next Riddick movie he said was gonna happen.
I'd be more interested in that than
Yes.
Fire 2.
Really?
And then on a lighter note, I watched Madagascar 2 and 3.
Those are fun.
There's a
Kid
third
movies.
one?
Yes.
Yes, there's several actually.
There's 3.
No, there's
Is
three.
there another
There's
one?
3,
after
and then
that?
there's a penguin.
That's what
There's
I'm
the
thinking.
Penguin movies
That's
and
what
the
I'm thinking
TV
of.
show.
Is there a TV show?
Kim
there's-
Julian's thing.
Oh,
on
It's a
there.
Netflix original. That's what I'm thinking of. Yes.
It's weird, all these intermingling species romance things.
Yeah,
going
it
on.
starts to get a little wonky. I
Does-
love the
Does
little...
the lion get it on with a hippo or something like that?
No,
Oh.
the hippo and the giraffe.
Don't ask questions, just go with it.
The lion at least stays in the cat area.
That's
Of
true.
things.
That's true. I still love the smallest lemur, the insane one.
Yeah.
There's one part, and again, this movie's ancient, so spoilers, I guess, if you're
I don't
planning on
care.
watching. But
I've
there's
never
one
seen
part
any.
where they're on a plane, and there's like a thunderstorm outside, and I still
And he's
remember the scene.
hanging-
He's hanging on the wing, just like looking at him, like, ha! And I just burst out laughing, like it was so well timed.
He was
and so well-
electrical.
Yeah. Like, it
That was
was-
number 2.
Yeah, with gold.
It was kind of weird though, like how number 2 ended. Do you guys care?
Nope.
No.
Okay, well, number 2, they get back to Africa, and the lion meets his dad, and well, actually his family.
Okay.
Simba.
At 3, there is no mention of the family. There's
So they just kind of
glossed over.
Yeah.
And he wants to go back to New York. He's not happy with being in Africa anymore. He wants to go back to New York.
Go full circle.
That's what they do, and by the end of it, they do go full circle. But yeah, I mean, it was a good kid movie.
I think it was.
It is. You can't look at it as the like giant arc of a.
The Madagascar verse is just broken because of the events in the second one going into the third one. Doesn't make sense because he. Yeah.
No, but it's just weird that that's kind of how 2 ended with. He was happy. He was with his family. That's where he all of them, all 4 of the characters were.
There's 4 of them.
Well, technically, if you count Julian, there's 5, but you don't really count him.
No.
But all 4 of them were okay. We're happy where we are. We are where we're supposed to be, even though the giraffe hippo thing was weird.
Yeah.
What?
Interspecies love.
But then all of a sudden they're not.
Correct. The third movie was. I feel like they had teams. Again, it's one of those teams of writers thing. It's like, hey, you work on the second one, you work on the third one. So as soon as we're done filming or recording voices for the second one, we can hop right into
4
the third.
years in between.
That's animation time.
I guess.
They do voice recording way earlier.
I guess.
Like they're probably done with Lion King now.
Their voice acting stuff? Oh yeah, that'll be done.
Yeah,
It's all
Lion King's probably
It's
already
all
done.
done.
it's all visual effects at this point.
But yes, that's all I've watched. Do you want to start this out?
Well, what game did you guys play?
You start, because this
Can I
pop
help?
is
Can
starting
I-
to kick in. And
Can I start? Can I start?
No.
Go for it.
I heard it's a world in which warcrafting happens.
Yes.
And they craft war. How,
They go to the
I'm an
blacksmith.
I'm an expert at this game, so I know exactly what I'm talking about.
So
and then Goku shows up, and then he power levels raise
wrong
much
game.
that
Wrong
he
game.
The war crafting happens.
Wrong game.
And then as SGSS Goku appears, and then there's Goku Black.
So,
Don't forget, they're not the same character.
Monday,
Not the same character.
Monday evening
It unlocked.
at 4 o'clock, the expansion unlocked worldwide.
So how does were you there live for that?
No, I was
how does
out.
How does that work if you were like sitting on your computer? Like, can you be in the game and it just switches
You'll get
over?
a quest. Apparently, that's yes.
So like there wasn't like servers are going down for like 5 minutes or.
As far as I know, no.
Okay.
But again, I wasn't
cool.
there. I played that morning, and then we went out.
You're like, God damn it.
And well, no, and while we were out, I'm like, when we get home, BT dubs, like
You won't see me.
I'm gone for the evening.
I did that with when Metal Gear 5 Solid
So-
5 came out.
And it's like, so this is what's going on. You won't see me this evening. Either way, our heroes get a quest from Magni Bronzebeard.
That sounds like a made-up name.
He's one of the dwarf
It's a
kings.
fiction. They're all made up names.
Go for it, FaZe Nugget.
Hello.
If you're gonna lead me on with a question that you don't ask,
I got to
I
know.
have to know the question.
I got to know.
Either way, Magni Bronzebeard was the king of Ironforge. He subsequently turned himself into Diamond at some point.
Wait, what?
He tried to commune with the world.
Wait, hold on. So the big piece is that there's like azurite crystals or something like that, right? And
So he summons you to the desert, where there is a giant sword sticking out of the desert. And he's
Surtur's gonna come, right?
Sargeras' sword.
yeah,
is-
Surtur, and then Hell is gonna come
Yeah.
climb out of this.
How do I?
I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer that question.
What's a hype bot?
I don't know. You might have to search that on Google.
I was going to say we are not the YouTube channel for that problem.
We're not that kind of channel.
I don't know.
It's like a Wakanda thing. We don't do that here.
Yeah.
Before you go
we
too
don't-
far into the story, I do have a question about
We don't do that here.
Bronzebeard.
Go for
I
it.
thought he was an Alliance character.
No, okay, so here's the shtick. He, in like 2 expansions ago, went down into this vault under Ironforge.
I thought he was dead.
He wasn't dead. He walked down there, he was all like, I'm going to heal the world.
Good luck.
So, yes, good luck. It's all good.
All good.
We don't do that here.
He went to commune with the world. He did this spell that he got from, I believe, one of the Dark Irons, like his sister.
Okay.
Because there's 3 Bronzebeards that are technically like in charge of Ironforge. There's
Okay.
the 3 hammers. So there's the Dark Iron. There's the brother who's always out exploring stuff.
Is it
Bran.
White Iron? White Iron?
You'll
Was it
find
Bran
Bran.
like
Yes,
that?
Bran. No. Magni went down, was all like, commune with the earth, and he turned into Diamond.
No, I'm talking about the one that went with Arthas. Was that? I thought that was Magni.
Could have been.
And he died out in Northern.
Sure.
No,
because Arthas
because
killed
my
him.
older brother Magni was king of the dwarves, and my other younger brother ran something or other.
Yeah.
So it was the other one.
Yeah.
Probably went with Arthas because it was from that game.
Yep.
I can't after.
Either way,
You guys are going. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, never mind.
Magni turns himself into Diamond and was considered dead because he was now stone under the mountain, and everybody's like, well, that didn't work. Either way, one day, when they needed it to for plot devices, he came back, but now he's entirely made of diamond, and his whole shtick is he is now the voice of Azeroth.
Okay.
Cool.
So he
So
can
he
talk
I
for,
just thought
So
he
he
was
became
an alliance
Jesus?
guy.
so he can talk for the planet, and so that's his whole shtick is with this giant sword sticking into...
Is he like the Lorax?
Sort of, yes.
Awesome.
Of World of Warcraft.
Awesome.
So anyway, he summons you, you go into a quest, and essentially you get to watch the last cinematic. They show you the last cinematic from
Yes.
if you beat the raid boss of Sargeras, giant being in space. In his one last move, drives his gigantic sword into the planet, and Magni's all like, oh no, the planet is dying, and we have to save it, so you have to give up your artifact power, as well as collect some of
don't
this
remember.
Azerite. It's
I don't think I did that.
no, you wouldn't have, because if you didn't actually have it equipped, it didn't do anything.
Well, I had it equipped. It
Oh.
didn't do it.
No, it's essentially in that whole shtick is essentially you grab Azerite, put it in this medallion, you take the power of your artifact, and everything goes whoosh, and you save the planet. For the most part. But while this sword got plunged in Azerite, which is the core of the earth, starts plucking up all over the place, and it's got some extreme power to it. So your whole shtick in this game is you now have this necklace, and when you collect Azerite, it increases the power of the necklace. The necklace, in turn, increases the power of, you can get shoulders, chest, and a helm.
So far.
So is this Azerite like, ooh, Azerite. Ooh, Azerite. Ooh, Azerite.
Well,
is it,
no,
like,
you
is
get
it
them
kind
from
of like
quests.
everywhere, or is
You get it from
like
quests now. You
Or-
see it popped up. Like, there was a mine with giant chunks of Azerite, and I'm like, I should be able to mine this.
No, it's
Can
too
you not?
tough.
You can't. It's
Oh.
it just game mechanic wise. If I sat in that mine all day just waiting for the things to respawn, I would be the most powerful creature ever. So you get it from quests, and you get it from treasure chests, and you get it from rare monsters and that kind of stuff. So as you increase that, you can unlock more stuff on specific pieces of armor. So each armor piece you get goes like, oh, if you reach level 8, you can unlock the middle core of this armor piece.
Yeah.
But aren't you guys like level like?
No. Like the
200 or something?
armor,
The gem has its own XP bar. The necklace does.
and that
Okay.
And that
when
increases
an amulet
that.
reaches a certain level, it affects the rest of your.
Yes.
Okay.
So I hit level 120 before I went away for the week, for my Thursday, Friday weekend. I hit level 120, and my necklace is, I think, level 10.
Yeah, I'm at 8 right now.
What's the level cap on this
7.
necklace?
Sorry, 7.
The gem, I don't know.
There is so far. I don't think there has been.
No, I'm sure.
No one's hit that yet.
I'm
I thought
sure.
I thought there were
that
more
there is,
pieces
but-
of equipment than just.
So
Those
far,
3.
no. It's just those.
Okay, so I have all 3 then.
You're good. And again, the cool part about this is when we got our artifact, it stuck with us for the entire expansion. This shtick is the necklace stays with you, but you are going to get a better chest piece.
So side question: are there still like achievements where it's like first group to
Yeah.
do raid, and then
Oh,
no
yeah.
one else can get that achievement?
Yes.
Okay, so that still happens.
They're still world firsts, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure they've all been hit already though.
They have.
That-
And again,
People go right when it's launched to go.
and people play beta to make sure they
Get the
know
rules.
know
right.
exactly what they're doing to get.
That's pretty coveted though to have that.
If you're into that kind of totally, like there's groups like guilds that pride themselves on like, oh, we were the world first to do this.
Yeah.
Um,
thanks.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Either way,
I played. So essentially,
yeah,
on the
necklace.
Alliance side, we go and one of our ships. Once you finish with Magni, it's like, oh, the King of Stormwind needs you, and you're like, okie dokie. So I go back, and there's this sailor who was all like, "Whiz was attacked,"
I can fill in this story after.
and we get an image out of him. Like Jane is all like, "I will show you what's in his mind."
So you need to get another cutscene from.
So we get another cutscene, and essentially, there's some Alliance warships out chasing
Workship.
these 2 escapees from the stockades. So we're changed to chase them down, and all of a sudden, all of our ships pretty much get met with a bunch of, giant catapult, like, rocks and that kind of stuff, and only one ship makes it out. And he's like, it was the Zandalari trolls, like, oh, man! And that's what we get, and we're like, and Jaina's like, okay, if the trolls, who are on one island, are going to join the Horde, us as the Alliance should go to Coltiris, which is right next door, and get the help of my old people. And the king's all like, yeah, but your old people abandoned you. Is that really the right way to go about this? And then they're like, you go with her, just in case anything goes down. You're like, yeah, all right.
She could take care of herself. She could take care of herself. But the way
Jaina's Alliance, or?
Jaina is Alliance.
Oh, okay.
So the way things end up working out is you go with her, she meets her mother, who is in charge of Coltiris, and essentially she's like, you're not my daughter because of what you did to my husband by abandoning him, yada, 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 yada. You will pay for your crimes as, for treason, and the penalty for that is death. And you're like, and she's like, all right, like, by the laws of my people, yes, that is how things go. So that's how they write her out of the rest of the expansion.
Okay.
For now.
Either way, you end up also in jail. But you're hired by someone who was loyal to Proudmoore and kind of knows how things went down. And so the first thing you do is a giant prison break, which is kind of fun. And then you're set off onto, there's three parts of Coltiris, and none of them the big three factions. And like one of them, their ships are missing for some reason, and one of them, like, we haven't heard from this section for a while, and one of them is just Jaina's mom, who's a complete crazy person. So you have to go through these islands, finish all these quests to bring the 3 or the 4 houses of Proudmoore back together.
Okay, so usually when there's like a new World of Warcraft expansion, they have a new like landmass. Is there a new landmass?
There's 2 new islands. Okay. One of them is the Troll Zandalari Islands, and the other one is the Coltiris Islands.
Oh, okay.
So
and the trolls have a very Jamaican feel.
They would
to them. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds cool. That sounds like a good like cultural mix.
But cool. You also have, because here's the next part, is as I start questing, I collect 100 war resources, and this is where Battle for Azeroth takes over. Is I collect resources and I hand them in to my guy on a boat, and he's like, great, we have enough resources now, we can send you off to Zandalar, where he is. And he's like, and we got to set up outposts there because they're trying to collect Azerite, we got to stop them. So essentially they send me into a PvP zone to do some more quests. And
I don't do those quests.
Does that, and it forces you into a PvP zone? Or
you
don't have to. You have to turn on war mode to do
that's what I was going to say, because I thought that was...
So I have war mode activated, which gets me...
more XP too, doesn't it?
Only
more
reason...
XP, more Azerite, more everything.
The only reason why 10%. I don't is because I'm not an experienced person with the character I'm running through this area. So I don't want to just run into some random person. Because I have gear that you just get because you maxed out your character. I don't have good gear.
Yeah.
I'm going to get wrecked by everyone.
Either way, I've now expanded my way onto Zandalar and have outposts everywhere that I can go to.
The outposts you can have.
And 1/4 mission that I have yet to do. But now I have world quests unlocked there, so every...
But you can send, and I don't know if you have them, but you can send minor characters
on missions.
To go get more Azerite
for you. You can do that from your phone, by the way. With the app.
Well, I want to do an 8-hour one, so I did it this morning.
But that's
done yet.
World of Warcraft has evolved past the World of Warcraft.
They've always had the phone app for that kind of stuff.
I'd have to get that app.
But either way, so that's kind of how the whole thing is going at this very point.
From your point of view.
From my point of view, I did...
Are you guys on different sides at this point?
Yeah, he's playing.
Well, he played because his
I start my Alliance guy all the time.
Oh, okay.
Because, one, it's not attached. Like, Brian and I kind of do most of our Horde stuff together. So I was kind of waiting. And Brian wasn't on that one night, and I'm like, well, I'm going to do my main anyways. And he waits for no man, so... my hunter is my hunter, so
because he has his pets.
2 of them.
He doesn't have to wait.
Either way, one of the islands that I did is a giant witch hunt. So that's what happened to them, is it's essentially become Salem. And they think a bunch of people are witches, and all this stuff is happening. And there are actual witches.
Yeah, like this is Warcraft. Probably half of them are
witches.
That's
what I said.
Yeah. So there is a quest where you literally walk around with a silver sewing needle poking NPCs to see if they're witches or not.
And then they transform.
And then they transform and you have to kill a witch. But the cool part about this expansion that I've really dug is that when you get to the end of a section, you kind of get a cinematic. and then that cinematic leads you to a quest that's in the dungeon that's right at the end of this island, sort of thing. So like,
I didn't get that.
what?
I finally finished my first area.
Yes.
I opened up what I assume is the dungeon.
Yes.
But then there was more to the quest after. Not the dungeon per se, but it was out in
Yeah,
that
there's
area.
other
There's
quests
still more
you can.
going
Yes,
on.
but there's a main storyline.
But following that same story, though.
Sort of, yes. Same with the witch thing is.
Well,
like,
I don't want to. I can't say because it's going to spoil things for you.
That's fine, but like. On the witch thing, there's a line you follow, and if you pretty much follow the one trail, you'll finish 4 out of 8 chapters, and get that quest.
Like I did, I finished all the achievement stuff, all 7. But after
still
I
other
opened
pieces
up
that
the
are connected.
dungeon, there was still more to the main story going on.
And that's kind of the island I'm on now. Same thing happened as I unlocked the dungeon, and I still have. Yeah.
It was only one. It was only one other. It was one.
Yeah.
Quest left, but it was a boss fight.
Okay. Yeah, and mine's a boss fight, but it's in the dungeon. So either way, I had to run. I ran the one. The one dungeon I ran is a haunted mansion.
That'd be kind of cool.
It was actually a really cool level. I found that the design in this expansion, character design, level design, music, like everything is just. They are so on point, I guess, this expansion. It's just everything just feels new and fresh, and it's like,
and so
damn.
Which is surprising for a game that's been going on for like
Almost
what 15 years or something.
Yeah.
For over a decade.
Yeah.
And so with your guys' area,
Yes.
Culturas.
Yes.
So say it how I want to say it.
Cultiris.
Whatever.
Cultural.
Your goal is to
Culturos.
unite everyone so they come join
Our side.
the alliance.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you ever switch factions?
You can buy a faction change.
So
No, I don't.
For like $50, you can
50 real dollars.
50 actual dollars.
Interesting.
You can turn your human into an orc.
Oh, so you can't just be a human in the
No.
horde.
No,
Oh,
no.
That would be.
that's
That would be
that's
mass
what I-
Now
confusion.
that might be worth paying $50 for.
That's what I
That
was
would be
asking
mass
about.
confusion.
But it wouldn't. There's pandas on both sides, and I don't get
I
confused.
barely see any pandas.
Well, that's because.
Well, I mean, as long as you see above the name, it's like there's a little horde symbol.
Well, they're
This-
red
this
or
dude's
green.
horde.
Yeah, they're either red or green.
Or
if
blue,
I can,
or blue if they're in your party.
yeah, if I can target them, they can die.
But see, there you go.
See, I
War
think-
mode.
I
go!
haven't seen his server on mine, so I think I'm good.
Yeah, I'm not hunting you.
I'm good.
And then the one
Just
other
be like just making predator sounds.
I wouldn't be able to understand him.
on.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like, you can't hear. You
Yeah,
can't-
we can't talk to each other, like Horde and
We
Alliance.
could
can't
whisper what we're saying.
Yeah, I can because I have you as a Battle.net friend. I can whisper you, but
That seems.
This is
odd.
what I meant.
yeah.
Fuck you.
And then the last kind of weird big thing I did, I guess, right before the expansion dropped. I've been part of the same guild now for 10 years. It has died.
Essentially.
It is very dead. So there was one other guy that had logged in the last 3 months, other than me, and I pretty much stayed there because I have all the guild perks unlocked because I've been there so long. And one guy did a perfect, like, in the big general chat in the main city, posted a thing going like, hey, we're looking for new members, the new expansion's coming out. This is kind of what we're looking for. And this is the first one that's actually, like, it was a very casual sounding guild. And that was what I was in before. So I whispered the guy, and I'm like, listen, I don't do scheduled stuff. I can't. Like, my life does not revolve around this game. I cannot schedule, like, Thursday night raids or something. Like, I can't do that. But I do like conversation. I do like talking with people. I like being active in that way, shape, or form.
You can group up if you just happen to be online.
If I'm
at the same
online, I'm
time.
more than happy
And you guys
to
want? You
jump
need a
in.
+1 for a dungeon. Like, I'm there.
I'm there. Like, that's cool and stuff. And I'm like, would that work? And he goes, yes. So, yes, after 10 years, I finally quit Dark Equinox as a guild and joined the Conquerors.
Conquerors.
Yeah, they don't spell it quite right, but it's...
Because they probably
I can't, but, it's cool. And they've been super, and the guy's like, just FYI, like, we do get rated R every once in a while. And I'm like, we used to do, like, the naked train through, Ironforge back in the day. Like,
in guild terms.
talking-wise, they don't
profanity.
stop people from talking about things.
Oh, okay.
So, like, in Dark Equinox, we got yelled at or typed at, I guess, by some mom because of the general things we were talking about. And she's like, my son is playing this game and he's only 12. And we're like, well, we advertise that this is the stuff we talk about. Like, it's...
Okay.
Well, I guess when you get to a game as big as WoW, like, you can't expect your game to be played by, like, one specific...
There's profanity filters.
Right, but, like, you can't expect, like, in terms of profanity, but, like, topics and stuff like that. Like, yes, we'll talk about...
And you just have to find a group that talks about the same things that... So if you're not okay with the jokes that these people are making, this is clearly not the right group for you. Or if you start making these jokes and people are like, what is wrong with you, you subsequently...
Or you get kicked out or you leave.
Yeah. So no, I found a good group. Clearly, we are working towards some of the other rewards and stuff that guilds still kind of unlock.
Do you get new guild stuff for the new expansion? I would imagine.
Not a lot.
I don't know. My guy that I have at this point is not in a guild. I got whispered.
Yeah, you get a lot of those.
I only got one so far.
There's algorithms that work through an entire like system of people.
Well, I assume they just go and search who's in the area.
Yeah, it's a computer that does it. Someone starts running a program and just and whispers everybody the same.
Yes, and it's a copy and paste.
Yeah.
It's copy and paste, mail merged.
So either way, that was kind of cool. But yeah, good group of guys. I'm surrounded by now for that kind of stuff. But they introduced communities in this expansion too. So for instance,
we have a barrel.
There's a barrel roll news community in WoW. So you can give out the code and only specific people can join. Brian started one that is, because of all the PvP that's happening, is like find horde. So if you're on specific servers and you're getting attacked, you can just post it in here and try and garner people to come help you out instead of just general chat hoping that people are around that will save you. The best part is you have to break the name down to a 6-word acronym type thing. So like barrel roll news, ours would be BrNN.
Easy enough.
Brian's, for whatever reason...
Horde?
Oh no!
What?
Find...
Ho?
Whore.
Find ho.
Find ho.
Oh, find ho.
So everybody's pretty much joining just because of the community name.
Find ho. Good choice. Good call. Good call, Brian.
Should see if there's a find Al.
Where is Al?
Find ass.
I have found like, as everybody's leveling, there's not a lot of people on war mode, which has been nice because I level 10% faster. I feel as more people start hitting 120, we're going to start seeing more and more people.
Ganking other people.
And the fun part is people have put together bands of people to go into the Alliance territory and start sweeping, and start like going into a questing area and killing people. And like we had one guy in the guild who was like, "This is bull," and da 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 da. Like I had to leave war mode, and it's like, well, you can either stay in war mode and go quest somewhere else.
What's the impact?
Well, not really though. Sorry.
Impact of leaving war mode?
No. When you die in war mode, when a player, what do you lose?
Time, because you have to run back to your body.
That's it.
Oh, that's all it is. So you don't lose gold or.
Nope. They gain honor.
Okay.
If you kill them, you gain honor.
Yeah.
The whole shtick is, I think,
but
if you kill...
you don't lose honor, or you don't lose...
No.
Okay, so there's really no negative...
Other than time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, again, if you're trying to quest, and these people have taken over your questing hub, you get angry.
But see, that's where the problem... That's where I see his problem is, because once you start in an area, you can't go to another area.
You can go back to the map and select another one.
No, I can't.
You should be able to. I did.
I did too.
I had all 3 at the same time.
No, because it doesn't. I tried clicking on it. It doesn't let me go anywhere else.
Weird. Yeah, no, I finished stuff.
Because in mine.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're continuing.
Nope, I'm good. Continue.
On my side, my opening.
The horde.
My opening.
For the horde.
That jailbreak.
Yes.
The people you were chasing, we gotta break them out.
Oh, that's why you were in Stormwind. Okay.
That's cool. We had to break them out. So it was a sneaky mission.
Mm.
It was really tough.
Wait, hold on.
Warrior.
Is it like Solid Snake in this game?
Right? No.
Rogues, dude.
So that's our thing, and then
War's changed.
we have
War never changes.
We see we're on our way, and then all of a sudden we're getting chased, and then our princess comes out. Our new princess comes out.
Yes.
And summons a ghost.
T-Rex. I saw that.
A ghost T-Rex. And pushes our boat
The trolls have gods.
That's
Animal
not fair.
guards.
Pray to.
That's not
Which
fair.
judging by what I've started in this is my second area, you can really get into those gods.
The Loa stuff. I think that's what they're. Yeah, the Loas. It's a whole like Jamaican-esque type.
And then she opens up the fog. The boats come out.
Shoot
and
us
start
down,
shooting the
and my
alliance.
one boat turns around. And
Yeah, you
starts
can see the one boat starting to turn off. Like, oh, must be some heroes on that one.
Nope. Just a little sailor who we suck his mind out and show everybody else what's going on.
Pervert.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, wrong memory.
So our whole thing is to do these. We have 3 different kind of sub things to do.
Yeah, areas.
To get the Zandalar people to join us.
You're uniting trolls to join the horde.
No,
Oh.
no, because one, and I don't. This won't really spoil because
No, go
I'll
for
say
it.
it right off the bat. One is you got to go kill someone that's probably going to go and come after the king.
Ah.
The next one is you got to go help the princess fend off an attack from these different trolls. And then the third one is the advisors are advising the king not to join the horde, and you got to try and convince them to work together
Dig
to
it.
join the horde.
Your side is much less messed up than ours is.
So far, but the first area I did was the the traitor thing.
We've
So,
got treason and traitors and witches and
the second one is
octopus.
I'm helping the princess
people.
right now, and she
That
is,
one kind of came out of left field.
Octopus. Wait, octopus is in this game, man.
she's
Japanese
she's,
must not be good for this game.
She's dealing with that's where the Loa
Yep.
are coming out. So there's a bat, there's a turtle, there's a frog, there's a dead guy that you have to talk to. That's where I was saying when I die, I get made fun of, is because that Loa of death
Oh, is
is
actually
making fun of you.
so that Loa of death is the entire reason that Sylvanas is also war chief. Because
Okay.
as Vol'jin was dying,
Oh, so
his Loa was the Loa of death who went, "Pick Sylvanas! She'll be super duper as the next war chief." So as he's dying, he's like, "My Loa has chosen you as the next war chief. No one will understand, but they'll see in time." And all the horde are like,
Strange choice, but okay.
and even Sylvanas is like,
doesn't know what to do.
"Okie dokie."
But so anytime I died,
It makes fun.
well, kind of like, oh, look at you, Mr. Hero.
Back
Oh,
again.
your armor, and you still die. and it starts to laugh every time I die.
Why would
Find.
Why would I get ridiculed? I'll just play in the Alliance. I don't get ridiculed in the Alliance, would I?
I don't know. I haven't been ridiculed. I haven't died.
It's
that
kind
much,
of
so.
no. It's. But I mean, no.
I have a feign death button. It solves a lot of issues.
It really does. I missed that button. I so missed that
Just
button.
fall on the ground.
I don't know why everybody's not a hunter. You get 2 pets. I never need a group.
I don't need.
I am the
I don't need pets.
You literally there
You've
are.
seen how much damage I do with
I
my
know.
guy. I don't need pets.
But there are group quests where they're like, you need about 3 to 4 people to finish this one. I'm like, okie dokie.
Hunter.
Wolfhawk, bear, me, 3.
Math is easy.
And well, that's where I kind of lead into that. I guess the group stuff.
Yep.
Because there are monsters that are in there that are tougher than you, and they're elite. So you need to find a group, and so there's a mini find a group button to find who's doing this quest too, and who's looking for people to help kill this. So it kind of joins the servers temporarily to take on this one elite. And if you kill it, you can leave the party, and you're back in your own server.
Yeah, it phases
without
you into these
without
other
anything
things.
looking different.
Okay.
It's an interesting choice.
Very cool.
Yeah, I like
it's very cool tech that they found by accident.
Yes, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure. Well, I wasn't sure first because I've done the random dungeons by myself, and I've found some questionable groups.
Yes.
So jumping into those, like, your quests, I kind of have to do them. I want the Azurite. So yeah.
There was one guy that I ran into who was fighting one of the rares. And I ran in, and the cool thing that they've done now is if you're questing in an area, instead of like the first person that hits him, that's their target now. So you used to
As
be
long
like,
as you do damage.
as long as you do damage, it's also your target. As long as the horde isn't the first person to touch it on my side, or vice versa for you.
Yeah.
Like if a different faction tags the target, it's now the alliance's thing. But this
No.
one guy was fighting in a.
Well, I can do that too.
It depends on the thing, and it depends on where you are and what you're doing. But the one guy was in this cave, and I ran in to get this ore that was in there, and he's fighting this thing, and I'm like, oh, I'll tag the rare because I get treasure from it. Cool. Twang. The bears go after it, and like my bear sucks the aggro off of the one guy. And so we finished this thing off, and he goes, oh, thank God. He's like, that thing's poison hits like a truck. Like, the guy was about to die, and I miraculously saved him by a complete accident.
Yeah.
An actual player.
There's only one real annoying
Cool.
one where there was a shadow priest it was a horde character.
Yep.
And in a certain area, you had to kill things and then plant a flag on the dead body.
Mm.
Well, as soon as someone does that, you can't do that. So I killed something, and that priest ran up. Bop! I'm like, well,
Wait, did someone
you're
just
just
steal
a
it?
jerk?
There's always someone.
So someone stole your quest?
Part of it, but it was easy enough. There was enough guys around, I could just do it myself anyways. But it's like...
And you have to know that after he's planted his 10 flags or what, he's leaving. Like, he can't plant more than the 10. So you're just like, oh, man, I have to put up with you. Like, how many do you have left?
He only did one. He only did it to me once, and then we kind of went our separate ways.
Ooh! That's the visual I got.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm 114.
Nice.
No. Azure level 7. As soon as I hit 8, I can unlock 3 things for armor-wise, which will be nice. I finished one area.
So you're on to your second area.
Second area with the evil trolls.
Nice. I'm with the octopus people right now.
I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be 120 before I even reach the king.
You feel that way?
I think I'm going to.
You might. So I got to my third area, and I'm halfway through it, and I hit level 120. And I ran one dungeon. There are people in my guild who have not quested anywhere yet and are 120 because all they did was run dungeons.
And now they're doing the question?
Maybe. Well, they are now, because here's the shtick. To get world quests to open up in the dailies, so the stuff that you do at max level, you have to be friendly with all of the factions and have done all of the...
Just friendly?
Just friendly.
Yeah.
And have done all of the boat stuff for people, like gone to the other island and made those outposts.
Done 2 of those.
Well, so then that's the thing. They unlock, like the last one for you unlocks at 118.
Okay.
So
I've done Dust Far and Storm Song Valley.
Yeah, and then at 116 you get expeditions, which are cool little things. You go to a completely random island with an objective, and you face off against Horde AI or Alliance AI, and you have to complete the objective before the AI does, and apparently the AI is, like, deadly.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's that, and then at 118 you get to do the last one, but there's people in my guild who only ran dungeons. And they're like, okay, I'm 120, where's my world quests? And someone's like, you have to get friendly with the 3 areas and finish these things. And they're like, and it's like, well, if you did the actual story, you'd be like, I hit 120 and everything unlocked. And they're like, bull. And I'm like, what? I did this properly.
Nope.
Yeah, and I am going to run one dungeon because...
Yeah, you want to finish that one
storyline.
storyline.
That we have that plays
Yeah.
wants to run that dungeon with me because he has a quest in there, and I have a quest in there too now.
Yeah.
I'm a little anxious about running into a dungeon with this guy.
As long as you're DPS,
I'll be probably DPS. I'm not going to try and tank.
You need also tanking gear to tank. Do you have a shield?
No, I'm a Fury Warrior.
Then you cannot
I have
tank.
my second.
You're not allowed to tank as a Fury Warrior. You will die.
That's like asking Black Widow if she wants to tank.
And as soon as you hit the dungeon, guess what it does?
Kicks you out.
No, it switches you to the other talent tree.
Protection.
Protection. Without a shield.
Hey, good luck.
I shall save you all.
Just do a lot of
my
taunting.
no shield.
Just taunt everything.
And that healer's just like, oh my god.
Which would be him.
Do it.
No, because he's a good healer, but I'm not going to do that to him.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. It's good. I mean,
World of Warcraft is a game.
Honestly, if you haven't played in a while, this one's a fun one to come back to.
What if you haven't played it?
Then it's going to be a while before you get to this.
No, so that's the bonus. If you buy into the game, they give you a character boost so you can catch up.
I really need to... Yeah, but you're not going to go to 120. You're going to go to 110.
You're going to go to 110, but then you get to play the content that we've all played.
But what if I want multiple characters?
You can.
Okay,
It's going to 110.
You can pay for it. So again, it's $65 a pop to get to 110, or you can just do what I do and make new characters and play.
I still haven't unlocked
the normal
those
way.
3. The High Mountain, the Magar, and the...
Yeah, so they announced originally...
We talk about video games and movies and everything, all nerd stuff in between right now. But right now we're just talking about
World of Warcraft.
Well, maybe we should get a World of Warcraft like banner.
Yeah,
World of Warcraft banner.
Time to talk about WoW.
WoW minute.
Yeah, I haven't unlocked those 3 yet.
So that's the thing is.
So I assume they're going to be a rep grind.
You are correct.
So I'm going to have to go back once this guy's 120 to go back to those other areas in Legion.
And spend a month.
To go and, but I don't have time anymore.
Correct. That's why Brian and I did it way back when.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you guys were pushing real hard a couple months back.
Yeah. So that was the thing is, originally they had said that when the expansion came out, they'd unlock some of the allied races. So that's how they're adding new races into the thing. It's all good.
Cool.
And then about a couple weeks before, they're like, so we're gonna keep it as a rep thing for people to do if they if they really want this race. You'll go through the story and then do what you need to do to unlock the stuff. Things might change later.
So they will.
Maybe.
Lower the rep then.
And that might. That's the question. Is yes.
Because really, at this point, you're only unlocking 1 new race.
There's gonna technically be 2. So. Like,
I only have 1.
Right, they haven't shown. So the other ones for you, like right now, you can unlock the Maggar troll or orcs.
I can't.
You can work towards it.
With the rep grind, I can get those 3.
Yes, and then the next one will also be a rep. They're all rep grinds.
Welcome
to WoW.
This troll one seems like as soon as I get the dual story stuff, I'm going to get them on my side.
Well, you will. You'll still have to get them to Exalted.
That shouldn't be an issue.
There's got to be some form of
grinding
in this game to get what you want.
But the questing,
right? So
it's not going to be an issue.
So that's the shtick. If you play from the beginning of an expansion and play, the rep grind's actually not horrible. It's when you jump in at the end, like I did with Legion and like you did with Legion, where you're like, ruh-roh, it just doesn't accumulate as fast.
Yeah, it's not going to.
Yeah. So, yes, that is where half the problems are. Is like I'm even trying to rep grind stuff from Warlords of Draenor, and I'm like, this is outrageous. I now have
What characters are in Warlord?
There's no characters to unlock, but there's a Frostwolf mount that I want.
Oh. I have lots of money now, so I'm good. I can now share that money with my other guys and buy more heirlooms.
Welcome to expansions, where all they do is throw gold at you. I've made like 10,000 gold in 1 week.
I remember when gold was like...
Yep.
Like you needed... It was precious
now,
gold.
To be fair, there's a mount that costs 50 million gold.
What?
It's a Brontosaurus with an auction house on his back.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Essentially.
Do you ever see someone riding around with that?
Not now.
I've never seen them.
But there are, every expansion they come out, because as money fluctuates and becomes easier to get, they always throw one mount in the game that costs way more money than it ever should. I have one of them that I got like 2 expansions later, because I've got enough, like he was 10,000 gold, where you're like, what?
What's the one this
week? No, it's 10,000.
There's now, then there's one from, again, Pandaria, which is a yak with like a transmogrifier, so you can change your armor look on the back, but I think he's 500,000 gold. I don't know. Either way, it's like another absurd number.
If we group our money together.
If we pool our money, we can get... And then this one is an absurd amount, but yes, no one has him yet. But give it another week and someone will.
I am actually waiting for this even to get exalted with these trolls so I can get that raptor mount.
Yeah, and then
the armored raptor.
Yeah, and then one person in our guild was really funny.
Inflation's a bitch.
Yeah, right. One person in the guild was really funny because they're like, "Hey, guild leader," they're like, "Can you give me like 5 million gold so I can buy this Brontosaurus thing?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll get right on that."
Yep.
And I'm like, "Wait, if they're getting 5 million, I want 5. Like, I want the mount." And he's like, "You get a mount. You get a mount. Everybody gets a mount." And they're like, "I'm like, that's good advertising for the guild if we're all just riding them around." It's like, "How did you get that?" "Oh, my guild bought it for me." Join up.
Suddenly the mount just like doubles in price because they're like, "Holy shit, this person's paying real money for this."
And you can. There's a way to buy
gold with real money now.
Yeah, there's WoW tokens
on the Blizzard.
Yeah, Blizzard's well, Blizzard sells tokens, which is 1 month of gameplay. So you can buy a token and then sell it in the game for whatever the gold price is at that point.
You can do it the other way around, can't you?
Or if you have gold, you can obviously buy that token off the person and subsequently get a month of play for.
But you can also buy. You can use those tokens to actually buy other things too. Like
those tokens are specifically gameplay time.
Because I thought you could, for some awkward way to buy Destiny 2 from World of Warcraft Gold. I thought there was something like that.
Well, essentially, what? No.
I thought there was a way you could do that, but maybe I read the story wrong.
I forgot how.
I'm not into the BattleNet stuff. I'm not into really. So.
But yeah, that is the way to, because they wanted a way of going like, yeah, you can pay in-game money for time, but someone's still paying real money for that time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like if you have an extra $20 to spend and want, 500,000 gold.
Yeah. The only problem with this guy now is that it takes away from my hunter.
Yeah, and that's even Brian and I are like, it'll be nice to get our Tauren up to 110 while they're sitting at 78.
Mine's 81 or 82, something like that now.
But that's where we're just like, and I'm like, and that happens in every expansion. You pick one character and kind of just
and roll with it till you. But that's the thing. That goes back to what I was saying. I get to 120. I'm gonna have to go back and rep grind for all those races. I'm gonna have no time for hunter.
Correct.
Or I get the hunter up to that point and he rep grinds that.
And that's sometimes what I do with my characters, as I have outs for every class, so I have a lot of characters.
I don't have enough
levels.
classes, or I don't have enough races for classes.
They don't need to be. Again,
they're all different. They're all
they
different.
all have to be different. My alliance side is pretty
actually,
much
except for my
of,
Death Knight and my Demon Hunter, they have to be a same race.
Yes, but my alliance side is pretty much dwarves, gnomes, and if I have to, like my Worgen is technically a Worgen.
What is the game has the most advanced commerce system?
Eve.
Yeah.
Eve.
Yeah, absolutely.
A game that is based on pretty much buying game time with in-game currency.
Using real-world time to manipulate the production of real-time things.
Worst game ever.
In-game. I really wish I jumped on that game, but now I really just like reading stories about Eve. You know about Eve?
Yeah.
I've heard the name.
So it's like a space exploration game akin to something like No Man's Sky or something like that.
Except it's based in real time.
It's a real-time thing. So like if you want to build a battleship or whatever.
So with some of these mobile games where it takes something time to unlock.
Yes.
But like it's like in most games.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. If you want to build a battleship in normal games, it would be like, oh yeah, like a couple minutes will be done.
Mm-hmm.
In Eve, it's literally like, come back in a month.
Okay.
It might be done.
It doesn't suck, but here's the shtick to Eve is the people who have played since the beginning have formed clans.
Not even just clans, I would say like governments almost.
They have, because if you join and you are not part of anybody,
they're going to shoot you down.
You are dead.
You need to literally start on the bottom of their food chain and work your way up. Like that one story I read where an infiltrator came from the other group, the other clan, worked his way up into the government of this other group, only to disable warp all their battleships into the other person's armada, destroy everything because he worked his way up their chain of command.
The game itself is
insanity.
It's amazing.
As dedication.
Yes.
It's amazing
and
that
like
you
these
can do these kinds of things.
And these battleships are worth real world money because of the real time it takes to build them.
Yes, you can associate based on in-game currency and how much it costs to buy game time, how much the currency is worth compared to like American dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be battles that are almost pre-planned most of the time. Like they're like, okay, on this month at this day, like this is when this war will start. And all of a sudden, all these battleships and cruisers and juggernauts and everything will warp into the same zone and start fighting. And the news report is essentially like $4 million worth of spacecrafts have been destroyed in this game.
And it's accurate, and that's wild. So like having someone like sneak into the other person's
totally a viable option.
It's a thing. Espionage is a real thing in this game.
Wow.
Yes.
I have no interest in playing.
But reading the stories about it is a pure animal.
Yeah, the stories are great. I tried getting into the game, and I'm like, I need a laser gun on my ship, and they're like, great, come back in 2 days, and I'm like, huh? Well, I'm out.
What?
I have a 14-day trial, and you're telling me I've got 2 days to put a gun on this ship? Like, can I fly around while they're mounting it? Well, no, it has to stay in the shop, and I'm like,
okay.
So I'm stuck in a menu for 2 days? Yes.
All right, now the laser's on. You need to have thrusters.
I forgot thrusters.
Oh my god.
Can the laser beam
Can it be my thruster?
Now, can these things progress while you're logged off? Like,
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all persistent online.
Okay, so if it's like come back in 2 days, you're like,
Awesome. I'm gonna go watch some movies, play a different game
Yes,
for a couple
that's
of
what
days,
happens.
come
2 days.
back,
That's what
do a
happens.
few things,
Yeah.
get them start building another thing. I'll come back in a month, play this game later.
Except there's a subscription
14-day
fee,
trial.
which is the issue. Otherwise, perfect. I would play it.
yeah.
But yeah, the fact that I have to pay them monthly, I'm like,
But I think once you start if you don't pay for Eve, that takes the allure out of it, though.
no,
A
and
lot
I
of
get
people-
that. It's
yeah.
just it starting off is very tough as a person
Now.
because you're like, and now, if you would have started ages ago, yeah,
Yes.
and I'm assuming your guildmates, if you were, or your clanmates, if you were constantly playing enough,
Correct.
they'd be like, oh, you're like, oh, I don't have money to pay you this month. They'd be like, it's okay, take some credits, like
Yeah,
buy some game time.
Yeah. To trade this for whatever it takes.
Yeah.
You need to be here this day. That's why.
Oh no, WoW's economy is
It's very different.
stupid and broken, but
It's wildly different than Eve's.
and right now it's stupidly broken.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Because of the amount of money you get.
No, so with the transmogrifying system and all that stuff, you have to get a piece of armor, equip it, and you get the appearance of that item.
Okay.
So if there's like a really cool shoulder pad and it's cloth and
I
you're a
really-
mage, you can take it, equip it, unequip it, go to the transmogrifier, and make it look like you're wearing those shoulder pads.
Okay.
So you can kind of customize the look of your character, which is super nice compared to what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to stick to your class's armor. So if
Okay.
you're a paladin, it has to be plate. If you're a mage, it has to be cloth, etc., etc. But right now, you can pretty much put anything on the auction house for 100 times the price, and people are buying it because they want the appearance of that item. The item sucks.
Mm-hmm.
They just want the look.
But because gold is thrown around like nothing, it really
and that's,
means
that's
nothing.
and that's the other half is people who are sitting on millions of gold are like, I wish for those shoulder pads. I don't care. It's costing me $10,000 because whatever.
Why not just save up for a Bronchiosaurus?
Because they
not
can
everybody
and they know
wants
they can already.
Or they have it.
Or they'll yeah. That's the shtick is people who have millions of gold already know that they're going to be able to buy that mount. And again, if I played the auction house like I used to when WoW first came out, I could afford that mount.
Just keep upselling everything.
Or
That's all.
undercutting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Undercutting is easier.
Yeah.
Okay, you undercut until you own the market, and then subsequently, the price is now yours to put at what you want.
And yeah, just once the market goes
I own all
to
of
a
it.
certain level, you just buy up all the rest of the competition, and then you go back up to what your base point was.
There was one point
Marketing.
in original WoW, I got letters in my mailbox of people pissed off that I had marked up the price of copper.
Like physical mailbox?
Oh, they should see it
Like, yeah,
now
my
with
game.
leather.
Oh, I thought you meant like they found your address.
No, like in the game, like Goldor was getting mail going like, what are you doing? Like copper prices are stupid. And I'm like, I barely put the price up. Like, but if you look at the auction house, the only person selling copper, this guy.
I did the same thing with cloth for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's leather. You have to buy 200. Or
Well, and now you can make massive stacks of stuff. It used to be maxed at 20, so you.
200 stacks of leather for $2,000.
Yep.
Or 2,000 gold, yes.
But if you own that market, you make the price.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got my mount in the original game when no one had mounts. I'm like riding around on a goat thing,
Yeah,
a ram, and I'm
something
like,
I miss.
and it's like
Flying.
I'm on a ram, and I'm like,
Yeah, they took flying
and everybody's
out.
like, he's
They didn't take
amazing,
flying
and I'm like,
out.
I just cheated you all.
They didn't take flying out. I have to unlock from what I'm getting. I have to
Have fun
explore
unlocking.
everything while riding around.
If you want to know what you have to look up in your achievements list in the search bar, look up Pathfinder. And then go to the one that's for this Pathfinder, like Battle for Azeroth.
Explore everything and get exalted with whoever.
Oh, there's lots to it. Most of the time, it's beat a bunch of the rares, like so you have to go actually searching
For the stars.
Yeah, you have to go searching for
That's
the
where
stars.
Wowhead or something
And
is
that's
good.
part 1
Okay.
of 2.
Oh, I know. There's then the treasures too.
Yeah.
They're
So
in different areas.
the whole shtick with flying is they want people to experience from the ground where they designed the game for, and actually running into people because they found as soon as they put flying in, no one interacted anymore because it was just like, I'm on
You
my
fly
own,
to
I
where you
fly.
need to go, drop, kill,
Yeah.
fly back out. That's
Right.
what I did with my. That's what I do with my hunter.
Correct. So they took flying out of the game until pretty much you've hit max level and have played most of the content.
That's not bad.
And then again, it's another kind of rep grind, in essence, to unlock flying. But it unlocks flying on all your characters, because their shtick is, once you've finished the content on one person, now you can level up with your guys on.
So once you experience the game...
Once you've experienced the game they want you to experience, fly around and do what you want. But I still have not unlocked flying in
Legion
or Warlords. Because again,
I can
just
afford
certain
that.
things where I'm like, I'm too lazy to finish.
Well, I can now afford that highest mount you can buy.
The speed?
Yeah.
Yeah, 450% flying
But
speed.
that's back in Pandaria?
You should just be able to go to a flight training.
No, I mean, like, that's the last time they made you pay for it was Pandaria?
I think so.
I can afford that one.
I just love how all of your flying mounts are now crippled.
Well, they run.
I know
can
they
have a running
run.
bat.
I have a dragon with no legs that floats this far off the ground,
That's awkward.
but can't take off.
That's what the Loa bat looks like, is the plague bat.
So it's got to hover. It's hovering.
He's a jade dragon, like Chinese,
Yeah.
the Shenron type dragon.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he just does his like coily flying move, but this far off the ground. And then when you jump,
That's awkward.
he jumps, and you're like,
Yeah, I know.
You could have been so much better.
It's funny though. I see all these guys running around in their fancy mounts, and then there's me with my original orc fast.
I I'm on my I unlocked.
That's what I run around with. I don't really.
Yeah.
You have all these heavily
I have
armored.
167 mounts to choose from. Like I just.
These heavily armored mounts though, and then there's Mead.
We're just on a wolf. I'm too cheap.
I get the same amount of distance.
And you do. It's cosmetic. Mounts are just cosmetic. So. Or a collector's thing where you're like, finish this achievement, get mount, and you're like,
Okay.
Well, no, that's what the elf does, or that's what my hunter does, is grind that so I can get everybody's.
Right.
Cool.
Either way with that, that's enough.
That's the
enough
World of
plowing.
I
Warcraft
think we've
minute.
wowed enough for.
Minute,
World
hour.
of Warcraft minute is over.
Yes. Otherwise, I've done nothing.
That's what we should call it. The Warcraft Hour.
Yeah, Warcraft hour.
I'm okay with Warcraft minute.
I like Warcraft minute. Yeah.
Yeah, but we talk about it long.
That's
longer
the
than
that's
I
the
did.
point.
That's the point. He's being ironic.
Yes. Thanks for joining us on our post-credit show. If
Yes.
you liked what you saw, come subscribe to us on our multitude of channels.
They're not normally this long.
Not usually.
We got caught up.
No, we didn't. Let's be honest here.
No.
We didn't really do it.
No, WoW was a big enough.
It's a big topic.
It's a new game.
It's a new game. It's that kind of game.
It's big.
Mhm.
It's not like, God of War comes out and you're like, yeah, it's great, and I played this part,
Yeah,
and
like
it was awesome.
as cool as Dead Cells is, it's not as big as World of Warcraft.
Right,
is.
World of Warcraft, being told from two different perspectives of two different sides of the two different sides of the two different,
Being that
In one of the biggest
Biggest
most
games.
popular games in history.
I know, I laugh when people talk about subscription levels, and they're like, they're going down, and I'm like, they're still in the millions.
I get that a lot with Pokemon Go, actually. And it's like,
Yeah, it's
it's
weird.
like I'll be there at a raid, and I'll playing it, and all of a sudden, like, this guy walks up, what are you guys doing here? Like, playing Pokemon Go. I'm like, they're like, do people still play that? I'm like, there's like 40 of us here. Yes, we still
40
play.
people in one section
We're still
of
playing
the
this
city.
game. Duh.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. People that
Don't take offense to it.
I
I'm
do.
just asking a question.
Just harness them. Take them in.
I do too. I try to.
Join us.
We need another person for this
One
raid.
of us.
You
One
used
of
to
us.
play. You know you've installed this game before.
I know I have not.
Yeah, but you don't Pokemon.
That's the difference.
Either way, if you like
Thanks.
what you saw, like, subscribe. Hold on, there's the button.
Hit the little bell icon if you're on
Hey, it's
YouTube. Do the thing.
It works on this one, not the other one.
Yeah, that's it basically.
You can find us on all sorts of social media. To find all those links, you can hit us up at barrelrollnews.com.
I'm not sure what our schedule is going to be like next week.
Next week is a little bit funny, so we might not be on. Stay tuned to our social media stuff.
We'll see. We'll figure something out funny. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. Whether we film and then broadcast.
I'm
so
okay
though.
with trying to. Goodbye.
Have a good one.
I'm okay with using my cellular connection to try something funny. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We will!
We'll talk to you guys soon.
Join us then.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.